Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network. This is Talking Ball with Steveospeak. Want to give everyone a few minutes to jump in, and we will get into some drafts tonight. Definitely want to talk these new contests more, and also, anything best ball, anything football related. Any questions about certain players, certain teams, different strategies. Open to talk about it all tonight. Hoping to rip two, three, maybe even four drafts. Depends on how it goes. But just wanted to, start the show off by reminding everyone to, of course, jump in, hit the like button. If we get enough likes, we'll definitely do a second draft, maybe a third, fourth. And also, if you're not subscribed, of course, subscribe to the Fanspeak Network. We're doing shows every day. I'm going to be doing this Talking Ball series 2 to 5 times a week, depending on the week. This is my third time this week. Ideally, I'm probably shooting for 3 or 4. And let me go to the chat, and then we will get in a draft shortly. Got our guy Tim here, Broncos Country. Let's ride. Hartman, GM. How are you guys doing? Good seeing you guys. We will start with the Poodle, but we might do a Pitbull later as well. Like I said, we will enter the first draft. I'll give it another minute, but and I will bring it up on my phone just so I don't have the lovely location error that we all seem to get, especially when we're streaming. Tim, thank you very much. Glad to be, talking ball with everyone. So, all right. We got our guy Zad here. Quarterbacks matter. They absolutely do. They score the most points. Obviously, they matter more in Superflex, but in anything, you want to win the quarterback position, whether it's taking an elite or finding the right guys mid to late. Like last year, guys like Jaden Daniels, guys like Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy were all pretty good, and then of course late hitting on Baker Mayfield, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold even were absolutely ways to advance and win. Omega King, GM. All right, let me count down the first one that we're going to enter. And we are going to start with the Poodle, which is now, 88% filled. I have 3 more to go. Let's jump in the first one in 5 seconds. Starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. And we are waiting on 9 more to start. So hopefully a bunch of people didn't get in the pre-flow. And then I'll get back to the chat. Let me pull this up. I need to refresh, I guess. 4 more to start, so still room for everyone. And here we go. Draft starting now. Let me hit the chat up. Tim, Seattle Seahawks coach, are you confident in his coaching ability to put a top 20 offense on the field this year? It could be a really bad year offensively for Seattle. So I'm a bit more bullish on Seattle's offense. Clint Kubiak, he was with the 49ers previously. Then he was with the Saints as the offense coordinator a year ago. The Saints offense actually produced pretty well, especially when you consider how bad things got. They had offensive line injuries, obviously Derek Carr missing time throughout the year. Both Kamara and both Shaheed and Olave going down fairly early. Tight ends, Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau went down, and then even Alvin Kamara missed in the last 3.5 games. Despite that, they had a lot of big fantasy scores. Shaheed and Olave early, Kamara throughout. He even missing 3.5 games, finished as RB10, 6th in points per game. Of course, Taysom Hill did his Taysom Hill things, and it was, a pretty good year. So I would get back to it a little bit more. Let's see. We have Hartman here at the 3, Tim at the 8. I'm at the 9, And I think that's it for this draft. Hartman goes Lamb. And so, people question Darnold, but I think Darnold has always had talent. He's just been on bad teams. He goes to the Seahawks team where I like the offense coordinator. He has a great stable of running backs with Walker and Charbonnet. He's got JSN, Cooper Kupp, MVS, Elijah Arroyo, Torrey Horton. There's some depth and talent there at receiver and tight end. And then the offensive line, Gray Zabel, I think could be a stabilizing force in the middle. And they were very injured last year, the Seahawks offensive line. They bookend tackles and Cross and Lucas. All right, let's see. 9th pick. I'm going to just go Neighbors here. I want a good share of Neighbors this year. We saw what he could do a year ago. No question about that. I don't know anything about the coach or offense coordinator. And for the coach, Mike Macdonald, they were a 10-win team last year, his first year in Seattle. And like I said, a lot of offensive line issues. So I'm bullish on what Seattle can do. My sister checking in, seeing McDermott guy. No, Clint Kubiak is from the Shanahan tree. And the coach McDonald is from the Harbaugh tree. Creations is in at 11, and I'm back on the clock. Definitely need to pay attention to that. We will go Derrick Henry here. So Nick Payne, nice. Tim, you're very welcome. Like I said, ask any questions, any team, any players. I'll be happy to answer. Sometimes long-winded, sometimes I might have to go shorter answer, but always happy to talk ball. That's what this show's about. This is going to be another solo show, but I will start having guests on next week, hopefully, and you start reaching out to guys. But yeah, I just, as you can tell from shows that I do on this network and times when I've guested on other shows, and just when I'm in chats, I like talking football. I like breaking down things, looking at things at different ways, and always happy to answer questions. And I always going to be right, no, but I always have probably some basis for my take. And, we'll be happy to agree to disagree at times, but also just like having good, fun conversations about football, particularly fantasy. Hartman taking Taylor and McBride to go along. I think he started Lamb. Yeah, no, that's a nice start. You potentially get a guy with the upside chance to be the top guy at 3 positions. That's always a fun start. We're seeing this more and more. Devontae Adams in the front half of the 3rd round. And I honestly think that's the right call. I think Adams over Garrett Wilson. I think Adams, Tyreek Hill has the upside, but there's just so much question mark there as well. I will go Terry here. I'm not worried about the holdout. And I like that Terry now kind of goes to the back half of the 3rd round, makes it easier to stack with Jaden. I will look for that if that's available. If not, I'll figure it out. But I think that makes sense for Terry. Terry does need to see his targets go up. Had under 120 targets last year. That absolutely needs to go up. He ran absolutely pure with touchdowns. I think he's still going to have one of his better touchdown numbers, but probably will go down from the 13 I believe he had a year ago. So hopefully some more targets will help balance that out. This is a tough call. Lamar and Jaden both there, and both I have stack option. I'm going to go Lamar. I know I don't have a receiver stack with him yet. I can backstack that later. Get a few spots of falling on him. And I always love getting all the essentially offensive equity, and particularly touchdown equity, from Lamar and Henry. that when I say quarterback smart, that's more for your wide receiver production. For example, Nico Collins was an afterthought until they got Stroud, or Mooney finally got someone to throw the ball. That's absolutely true. You know, that's why right fit, and that's also in a situation like Neighbors. Like Neighbors got by on a 34% target share last year. His target share could go down and his fantasy production could go up just because his quarterback play between Russ and Dart and even having Winston there is going to be better. And we can say that with, say, Brock Bowers. Like his quarterback play is absolutely improved with Geno, no matter what you think of Geno. Put the full board up. I will do that. Thank you. Sorry about that. We are into the 5th round, or at the turn here, 4th, 5th round. So Tim got Jaden right behind me. Makes sense, getting the elite. Hartman, Adam seems like a lock for double-digit touchdowns. Yeah, and as much as I like Puka in the 1st round, this is a situation. I think it's even more like Chase and Higgins are, arguably the best 1-2 in the league. But the only way Higgins outproduces Chase is if Chase misses time or just is plain injured or something like that. Adams could just outproduce Puka, particularly from a fantasy standpoint. Puka might have more catches, but Adams is one of the best red zone receivers of this generation, of ever. And there's just that path where they're both extremely good, but not even needing an injury to Puka, that he just outproduces him. So yeah, I'm such a big fan of Adams in 3rd round. I think it's a steal. I think there's few receivers after that London, AJ Brown, McConkey area in between them that you can really put above Adams with a lot of certainty. We are on the clock. Don't need Burrow. That would be fun. I'm going to go. Jalen Waddle. It's top ADP here. I passed on, I didn't take Tyreek in the 3rd round. I think Waddle, if I'm betting, Meg talked about this in her Friends of Basketball show earlier with Tom Strachan. If you're not as high on Hill, then you should be more in on Waddle. It's a scary situation with the Dolphins offense because the splits with and without Tua are extreme for their skill guys. But I think Waddle, we need to remember, is a 1st round talent. We've seen it in spurts from him. He himself needs to stay healthy. But if Tua stays healthy, he's healthy. That could be a very, very fun pick there. I'm going to go RJ Harvey. I like we're now getting him mid-60s. Sean Payton offense. Will he split the workload with Dobbins? Of course. But that did not stop Alvin Kamara from multiple big years. Hames, good seeing you. How's it going? Yep, 100%. So I will go back to the board. I have a 1, 2, 3 start through 6 rounds. I definitely like those kind of starts. Feeling good about my running back situation, have an elite quarterback, 3, very talented receivers, particularly Neighbors and McLaurin, who should be their team's alphas. I think team's in a good overall position. And also, again, the Miami offense is questionable because it's really, if Tua is playing or not, how good they are. But multiple pieces of the Baltimore offense, piece of the Washington offense, these are elite offenses. Denver offense should be elite. Yes, the Giants is not, but that's why we're making up for it with these other picks to, hammer home other elite offenses. So Burrow doesn't make it back to the 1 spot. But, that guy had Higgins, so totally makes sense. I love doing that. I love when I get Higgins in these early picks here, 2, 3, 4, me being the one to get Burrow in this pick range. It's great value on Burrow. You're still stacking him with a great receiver, and just has a lot of upside. And we saw that was the Week 17 winner a year ago. So with the Poodle, kind of wrapping up probably in the next 48 hours, is everyone gotten all their shots they want to take in? Are you saving any for the last minute? How's everyone handling it? All right. I'm going to take Stephon Diggs here. Just I think another guy who's going to be the top receiver on his team, likely fairly clearly. I do have 2 Week 14, 2 Week 12 buys, but I think overall that team is looking pretty good so far. Hartman, I have 2 left. Well, I have 2 left after this. So Hartman, if you want to jump in a couple more. Who Hames? Yeah, I saw it last night. You mentioned you maxed it. You got your extreme Puka, 50% you tried for. Meg, I need to do one more. Glad we got in a couple together last night. Yeah, last night was a fun show. And definitely trying to get mine all done tonight as well. And I am back on the clock. I'm going to go Pacheco. The ranks you see, I've not updated. I mean, I've updated them on our Substack, not have them updated here just because I kind of know the ranks that I have in my head. But, I'm coming more around to Pacheco. I do worry about his upside ceiling case because I think it could be like a 3-man backfield. But the Chiefs are still going to be a very good team. They're still going to score a good number of points. Pacheco in the 80s, I'm still on board with. I think there are some of these other running backs here. Obviously, big Cam Scatterbo fan, but even ETN, have the upside to be higher than him, and even guys like Warner, Tracy could be kind of on par with him. So, and Mason as well in that mix. So, I don't know if it's always the best value for Pacheco, but when he fell 8 picks past ADP, about 8 picks past ADP, I'm going to be okay with it. Bring up the board again. So again, back on the turn, Hartman gets the collar stack to go with McBride earlier. He already had Hurts, so that's a good 1-2 punch at quarterback. Tim, he got Mason right after I took Pacheco. Go with Pollard and Kamara for good 3 running backs. Puka and Ladd being his top guys, and then double elite quarterback. That can be a strong play. Allen and Daniels, Debo with Allen, or I'm sorry, Debo with Daniels, and then trying to find some guys with Allen later, which you can. Allen's very easy to backstack. Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm taking plenty of Puka as well. It's just my point is Adams is like the one guy who, of the elite receivers, that's the one situation where the number 2, even without injury, could outproduce him. The other ones, Mooney's not outproducing London. Trey Harris is not producing Ladd, et cetera, et cetera. Same with AJ Brown and Devonta. I mean, it's always tempting for Cam Scatterbo here, but I'm going to go get my stack. Mark Andrews. Big fan of Andrews this year. I know he might not replicate the 11 touchdowns again, and I would like to see him get a few more targets total. But he's such a red zone threat. His red zone percentage, his red zone targets were like 15. He had like 15 red zone targets last year, just absolutely nuts. Tim, so many quarterbacks there for the picking. Yep. Chad Candles, GM, earbuds fully charged tonight. All right, Chad, good to hear. I jumped in one of your drafts earlier today. If you have some Poodles left, we're going to do some more of those. Might do a Pitbull also. And going to be up in one pick here. I mean, you guys are just like giving me Cam Scatterbo. I feel like I'm being tested. I will pass on it. I know I will double stack Lamar. I want do a full Ravens onslaught in this draft. Let's see. Adams is 100% best third round picks. Totally agree. Prop market currently has Puka 5.5 touchdowns, Adam 8.5. Exactly. So, I mean, those 3 touchdowns, you think about that in half point PPR, 3 touchdowns, 18 points, right? So that's 180 more yards. Obviously catches come into play there also, but that's a lot, like that Puka would have to get a considerable amount more catches and yards. And Adams just has, 8.5. He's double-digit touchdowns almost every year. So my man showing out chest comeback is on, people. Yeah, I'm no holds bar. I lost the other night to Herzig. Unacceptable. I'm gonna in it to win it. Scatterbo has fell to 109. I know. I'm loving it, Who Ames. And you went. Tim, of course, took him. Smart pick. Tim knows what he's doing. But yeah, I love seeing him fall some. Hartman, Insanity. Tim Scatterbro. Yep. My sister, not a fan. But I'm used to it. Let's see here. So we are coming back. Hartman, I know, gets his guy. He signed Tootin. And Dak, another good quarterback. Going 3 quarterbacks there for Hartman. That's, I get it with Lamb and, Hurts the fall, and it's good. I'm never going to turn my nose up to 3 quarterbacks. I just know it's not what most people do, but I do think it's a fun way to build at times, really help ensure you're advancing, and can be a very powerful play. Let's see, what are we coming up to here? Not a big Tajay Spears fan. Could go tight end, stop at 2. Ray Davis. I'm going to pull up Ray Davis. Just want a little bit more depth at running back there. No receivers I needed. If maybe a tight end on the way back. Definitely getting thinner at quarterback. But with Lamar, I feel I can wait a little bit. Have some backstack options. Can take some other pieces. See, coming up in a couple picks. Just can't really click Mims right now at this point. I know I have some correlation here with Denver, Kansas City. I know he'd be falling 10 picks, but I'm fine with my receiver, where my receiver room's at right now. Would have taken Warren, but maybe if that's the only option left. I'm going to go Loveland here. He's fallen in general and even a little past that in ADP, but I still believe I already have Andrews to handle business so far. I absolutely could stop at 2 if need be, because I might need 2 quarterbacks since I'm waiting so long for my second. Duhame's trying to get below 25%, but it's so hard now. Totally get it. Just got to get Stevenson now. Probably not optimal, but it is fun. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. It's just, even if that's not your thing normally, it's a fun way to try sometimes. We see it with the gritty, hit him with the gritty, like bully quarterback can work. And this is a different way to do it. It's not like you did 3 in the top 6 picks or something like that. And just, you're going to pretty much dominate the quarterback score. I mean, you and Tim are really ahead at the quarterback game right now. Even with Lamar, I'm behind. There's no question about that. I'm down. And is Dobbins a fair price right now? I caught up on slows before this and took Dobbins in a couple, and I was surprised with how high he went. I feel like Dobbins should go before Najee. Yeah, it's in this mix, but it's also a question like, look at where I got, Ray Davis. It's kind of right in the same area, right in the same range. I feel a little better about that. I do think Dobbins is above these guys, though. I like Algier and Eckler. I guess it's just so hard because, like, some of those guys in that range, like Javonte Williams, I'm just not a fan on. Taj Spears, I'm more down on. Let's see, where did Dobbins go in this? He went 125. So, I mean, that I think is fair, but Charbonnet is probably better. Like, I think there's no question of that. All right, let's see here. Quarterback is flying off the board, but let's take a receiver here. Let's get my guy Cedric Tillman. I want to be overweight on Tillman. I'm not a fan of the Browns quarterback situation. And more, and I don't think this gets reported enough in the best ball streets, but it's sounding like it's coming down to Flacco and Pickett. I saw a report that they kind of feel like both Cleveland rookies could be just redshirted this year. Like, no expectation that they'd even come in and play a game, which definitely makes sense for Shador. But even Dylan Gabriel, the 3rd round pick, it's interesting. I think it's a bit telling also of what they think of their situation. Boy, I don't want to necessarily reach a quarterback, but it's getting to that point. I'll reach for Cam Ward. At least have a decent number 2 quarterback. Should start all year. I didn't get Pollard or any sort of stack. Maybe I'll throw in my guy Tyler Lockett late. I just wrote him up as a late round receiver target. I know it's scary to people, but I will make the case for Tyler Lockett in the 17th, 18th round, more 18th round. But his underlying metrics, yes, JSN passed him up, but his like yards per catch, things of that nature were very similar to his career norms. It was just his targets went down. He dropped 40 targets because of JSN and kind of the offense in general. With Tennessee, he could easily be back over 100 targets. After Calvin Ridley, there's not a lot of competition there. Not really feeling Io Manor or DK. Restrepo could have a role, but I'm just not too sold. So it's close between Dobbins and Big Naj. For me, yeah. No, I see it. Sweet Lord Lockett again. Yep. Bindles, good seeing my man. Good GM. I like low and Restrepo and time box. And yeah, that could be another option depending on how I feel good. Right now, I feel pretty good about the receiver room. With the 6 guys I have, probably going to stop at 2 tight ends here. Well, if something comes back to me, definitely could get a 3rd quarterback. Yeah, don't feel the need for another tight end. Don't mind Rico Dowd as a 5th running back and being able to stop there. But I still like, Darnold. Aaron Rodgers. Could always tack on Jackson Dart. So I have some options there. At quarterback, probably will take. Boy, Bigsby's falling. I am not a big fan of Tank Bigsby this year. But I would have taken him. But Tim snapped him up. That was a good pick there. Let me take Rico here. We have a 1,000-yard running back. Anything happens to Hubbard, I think Rico's more than capable of handling the workload. And, I think that's a fair ADP. Just got a chain at pick 46 in the Superflex, ADP 28. Wow, that is impressive. That is nice. Must have been very quarterback heavy room. Is one last man, you got another chance. No need to throw it away on Lockett. A third quarterback I recommend. Absolutely. We got our guy Tyler, Emo Cowboy, in here. How's it going, Tyler? So I think I have some options. Sam Darnold goes, would have had him in like MVS, potential stack options. Might just wait it out for Dart. I don't like Dart as much when my quarterback is such an early buy. And Rodgers does go, so probably doing that. Not going to take Hopkins. I will go Keenan Allen since I am going to go 8 receivers. I think Keenan Allen, particularly when you're going 8 receivers, is such a great pick. This guy, he missed 2 games last year. He still had 5 games over 17 points last season. Just wrote about him in the late round receiver article on Fanspeak Substack. If he lands anywhere, he is, gonna just rise. And if it's a good landing spot, it could be up to like the 11th, 12th round. So just tons of value potentially there. Let me put it over to the board as I answer some more chats. Sorry, no, it's been a little while since I've done that. 18th like, quit flexing. By the way, I do feel a little bad. Mega bummed. I thought it was funny with the dad joke. Is a stud show. Yep. No. I'm still very much in the Superflex streets. Haven't been doing as many since the fill rate slowed down, particularly with these latest contests. I thought with the Schnauzer filling, it might go back up. Really hasn't so far. But the Poodle's about to fill, so I'm guessing the fill rate on Superflex will start to climb a little bit. Originally thought it would be filled like end of next week, probably another week after that now, considering. Thank you. Appreciate all the chatters and everyone talking. Again, love talking ball, love this community. Like, it's so nice to just be able to talk, share each other's opinions, answer questions, and just look at it from different ways. I mean, I don't think any one person has all the answers. We try to do it with the best information we have. And I think it's also good to listen to a variety of opinions. Let's see, be up in one pick. Let's see what Tim does here. Will Shipley. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my guy Tyler Lockett. I know, could have gone Restrepo, but I do think Lockett is set into his starting role. I don't think Van Jefferson is a threat. I don't think Trevion Burks is a threat. And again, the rookies really aren't much of a threat. So as an 8th receiver, kind of a floor play to help balance situations like Keenan, Tillman, even Bateman, who can be, a spike week guy. And remember, I'm looking at it, Neighbors, Terry, Waddle, Diggs. I mean, these guys are covering so much for me. I think Pacheco will fill in the flex. My other running backs can help in the flex. And of course, Henry Harvey should be getting the job done most weeks. I have all wrong answers. That is something. We're all looking for an edge. No, that is true. That is 100% true. So Daniel Jones, or I could go Jackson Dart. I mean, to me, the stacking side of it, I'm going to go Daniel Jones. I think there are paths where Dart maybe doesn't start that much this year. Could really only be 2 or 3 games. So I think that is a reality, and I'll get more information, but I'm just a believer that Daniel Jones is starting. I think it was Jewish McCaffrey had a poll who's going to start more games this year, Jackson Dart and Anthony Richardson. I voted Dart in that, but I even said that I think Dart starts under 6 games. And I think it could even be like 3 games. But for me, that means Daniel Jones is starting pretty much all 17. Lockett seems like a no-brainer. Iron Man is getting a little buzz right now. Yeah, I appreciate you joining the chat. But I'm going on my pre-draft assessment on him. Just not a good route runner, not good at catching the ball. I think he'll need to work his way on special teams. He's a good blocking receiver. That helps. And he'll be in the mix for the X, though. I think Ridley can play there. But DK could also be in that mix there. So I'm just not sold. We'll see how things go in camp. What would you say? Wait, I agree with you most of the time. Yeah, I personally hadn't seen any like major buzz on Io Manor. I did see a Titans like blogger, not a beat writer, make the case that he thought Io Manor would be starting by like week 2 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I looked at the article and it just didn't feel like there's any real justification. It was more like wish casting. It's going. But yeah, I don't know anything like truly from like a Titans beat writer. I actually tried to look for some things just in general what the Titans reports are saying. I haven't seen much other than the early Restrepo buzz. Mike Rob, I think something is wrong here. We have more people watching than likes. Must be something loaded, slow. Some of these people wouldn't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much. And yes, whether you're on Twitter, in YouTube, please hit the like button. Really helps us out. Really appreciate it. And Traylon Burks could be traded to the Jets Steelers. That's interesting. Definitely hadn't heard that. I don't know if he even makes the rotations for those teams, especially the Steelers. But we'll see. Definitely a lot of camp and reports to come. Yeah, there's a scenario where that's my fear, FK. And again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being in chat. I'll do a quick review of this team and then we will get into another one. But I want to catch up with chat real quick. I just want to see Arizona get an actual wide receiver too. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Wilson is that in name only, but he profiles more as like honestly a weak wide receiver 3. Creations team 11. I will take a look. They're saying Alec is in the NWI role. That would be interesting because I don't know if he's got that in his wheelhouse. Keenan Allen to the Cardinals would work. And when I'm down on Io Manor, it's more for this year. Like he's a 21-year-old redshirt sophomore he dealt with injury, and he's also coming from one of the worst passing offenses in college football. Long term, I absolutely see like the physical skill set and upside. I just don't see those types of guys who have very little college experience, very little like technical ability in their route running, make early impacts. Yeah, Keenan Allen to the Cardinals would be fun. We got 21 likes, 22 watching, not bad. I went chaos. Let's say Shaheed. Give him dog. Yeah. So let me do a quick review of this poodle. This is mine. We will look at Nick in the 11th first. Kind of went over my team, so I'm not going to really highlight my team. So 2583, Caleb and Justin Herbert, Genty, Bucky, Hampton, Caleb, Roshan, grade 5 running backs, 4 starters. Really interesting piece in Roshan with the upside potential he has in Ben Johnson offense. Then you have JSN, Roma Dunze, Roma obviously stacked, Josh Harris, Josh Downs. Josh Harris is the Washington owner. Trey Harris, stacked with Justin Herbert, Leggett, Demario Douglas, Deontay Thornton, Eric Manor. That's right, you're saying 11th spot. I mean, take some shots on him if you believe. That's just not what I see right now. But I get it. He had a lot of pre-draft buzz, but it was interesting. He didn't go until the late 4th round. Then Tyler Warren, Chig, Jatavian Sanders, solid two younger tight ends who've done a little bit, and then a rookie who I think has a lot of upside. I think you're very strong at running back, which I love. 2 very good quarterbacks, more than enough depth at receiver and tight end. So I think that's a fine competitive team for sure. Let's go to Hartman, 3762. 3 quarterbacks who have top 5, top 6 ability. We've seen it before from all these guys in the last couple of years. Then JT anchoring, and then he just took volume. Tootin, Benson, Blue, Wright, Hunter, Brooks. This is the hero running back approach or anchor, with the Taylor as the anchor, and then just hoping a couple of these guys get enough of a role and enough usage. There's some spike week potential in the speed of guys like Tootin, Blue, Wright, Hunter especially. Taj could be the number 2. Benson's probably the number 2 in Arizona. So, there's definitely ways that work. But I think you did it right, like taking 7. I think you need depth. And then Lamb, DJ Moore, Ricky Parasol, Jerry Jeudy, Keon Coleman, and then you took the Cardinals' current number 2 receiver, but you got him past ADP, which is always good. Top 5 receivers are all really strong, different buys, so you're always going to have 4 of them available to hit, not only cover the 3 wide receivers, but help for the flex as well. Former teammates, but double tight end build of McBride and Ertz. I think that's very strong. And good team. Let's go to Tim real quick, and then we'll get in our next draft. We'll do another Poodle first, and then we'll see about doing a Pitbull maybe for the 3rd one. He went the double elite quarterbacks, Allen Daniels. Then he went 7-7-2. Kamara, Pollard, Mason, Scatterboo, Eckler, Bigsby, Shipley. Plenty of depth, plenty of talent at running back. He should be getting flex play from the running back most weeks. 7 receivers. Top 2 are excellent in Puka and Ladd with your top 2 picks, but then Debo with the stack, Higgins, who I'm a big fan of, Hollywood, Slayton, big fan of those. Adonai Mitchell, 2nd year, 2nd round pick, absolutely could spike and break it out. Got his stack with Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, 2 tight end build. I mean, it's gonna be pretty dominant at quarterback and running back, wide receiver. These 2 guys hit, you're going to be more than fine. So that's a very strong team. This is going to be very tough to get out of this pod just with those 4 drafts. All right, so I will enter into the next one, and we'll do another Poodle, and I will count it down. All right, entering in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. And we have 5 more to start, so there's room for others to join in. And it is snap filling. And let's catch up with the chat. Hill could have a crazy game when he plays the Jaguars. Hunter can't guard him. Yes, that's one of the things that put him on the map, his game against Hunter 2 years ago. I don't think that was definitely an impressive game, but to me, that didn't show he's ready for the big leagues. Steve is doing second draft, even though he didn't get 30 likes. Nice guy. Get him to 40 likes, and I'm sure he'll do a fourth draft. Meg, yes, I should check the likes. Please hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, come on over. Let's hit the like button. Let's get this thing going. I want to keep drafting. I want you guys to keep drafting. Fun fact, Steve gets the 101. I didn't in this. So, it sometimes doesn't always work out. But let's see. We got UCF Jaguar in the 5 spot, Jason here on River Rat in the 6th spot. We have myself in the 10th spot and Fantasy Dog in the 12th spot. So let's see. First couple picks. No real. Oh, Puka. Somebody did flip the board at number 2, USA Flying Medic. So, I mean, that can obviously be fun to flip the board sometimes. I like doing it more in the second round than, say, the first round. That's just my opinion of it. Like picking, like if you have a turn pick, bringing up somebody like T. Higgins or somebody like that could be fun. Or Rashee Rice, even. Not that I think his ADP needs to keep climbing any more than it has, but all right, I'm gonna go Nico Collins here. Thought about Genty, but yes, it looks like we only have 24 likes so far. Hopefully we can get those up. I want to keep drafting tonight. I'm going to draft against you at Fanspeak Network. Thank you very much, Fancy Dog. Good seeing you in here. Let's see, you take Henry with your first pick, London with your second. Genty goes, but Brian Thomas is still there. I will take Brian Thomas. And Nico BTJ start. Like that quite a bit. Let's bring up the board here. Catch up with chat. Fancy Dog, do you change your dog avatar? Meg says, yeah, I want to keep drafting. Hit that like. Did I? It didn't look like it changed. How can you expect 40 lights with a Nationals polo on? Man knows ball, yet dresses like he doesn't. Yeah, it's been rough for the Nats the last couple of years, but they're running a young, fun team. Hopefully in a couple of years they can be competitive again. Hello. Yep. Harbin Rice should be the 101 at this point. I mean, that's what it seems like. That's what some people believe. He sports his teams. Commanders, Nats, and Penguins. Fun combo. Yeah, that is true. I changed background color. A few names. Thought it looked different. Chad Candles, those double elite wide receiver starts that were impossible in the big board are now you get with CMC and Genty moving to the first feel awesome. No, I agree. And as much as I love running backs, and we saw Tim do that last draft. I mean, he also went double elite quarterback, but his running back room was more than fine. He went to 2 early receivers, and then you hammer the other picks. I think that can work very well. I mean, Nico BTJ. Yeah, I think these guys are going to be my starters most weeks. So, we'll see what the board gives me. But if I'm taking a quarterback and a couple of running backs coming up, yeah, I think that's a fun way to play it. Well, it seems you got to take two wide receivers. DJ, Quill, nice seeing you. Welcome, welcome. Appreciate the warning. 2 picks away. Chase Brown goes. I was kind of hoping he'd fall back. I took McLaurin last time. I'm going to go Breece Hall here. Do want to get a running back early. You know, I do think he could play kind of a Jahmyr Gibbs role in this Jets offense. I really like the offense line that they have. I do worry about Fields vulturing him a fair amount, but you know, I think there's enough upside here for Hall in the mid-third round. Fantasy Dog, true to his word, taking Lamar at 36. Follows it up with Tet McMillan, T-Mac up in 1. Definitely could go quarterback. Daniels goes there. The Allen fall is interesting. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy, get a third receiver. Maybe it opens me up to Mahomes stack. Just give myself some options here. And even with Hall with Fields. So I feel like I have some viable quarterback options. Let's go to the board to see what everyone's doing. Coming up on a few of our guys. Let me hit up chat. Yes, and please don't forget the like button. Really appreciate it. Fantasy Dog telling us you're number 34. I did Capital Penguins playoff game early in the Ovechkin-Crosby rivalry. First hockey game I ever went to and was immediately hooked on in-person watching. Yes, in-person hockey is fun for sure. Where was Evans when I needed him? Yeah. No, I love Mike Evans, and that's him and Adams in this one got both pulled up to the front half. And that's the thing. Like, honestly, I think you can make a strong case for them above the JSNs, above the Terry McLaurins. And we really saw the second round fill up with receivers. Tyreek going 21, T, Garrett Wilson, Rasheed Rice at 19, to Jason. So yeah, no, that definitely led to some falls. The JT Bucky turn, very, kind of more unique. And then Jacobs going to UCF Jaguar. That's one of the latest you'll see Jacobs. Coming back up. Kamara going at 50. I'm very bullish on Kamara. I don't mind pulling him up, especially when you need a running back. I was kind of hoping he'd last back to me. Not getting that lucky here. Yeah, no, those receivers went off the board early in the third. So let's see what I'm looking at. Jason gets Hurts. And, he did have Devonta. And that's the thing. Like, Hurts, another quarterback, I don't mind being unstacked. If you get him with, the Brown or Devonta pick, great. You can take, or even Barkley, take Goddard later. Or, he just produces so much on the ground. I'm going to go Mixon here. I am not worried about Nick Chubb. I know he's dealing with a minor injury right now, but I do feel the Texans, their offensive line, even losing Larry Tunsil, I think will be better as a whole with the new coaching and just more depth and talent across the board. And I just think the offense in general, they really imploded last year with all the injuries and issues. I think they could be back to being like a top 15, maybe even top 10 offense. And if so, Mixon is going to smash at that price. Fancy Dog taking Connor and Olave. Love those picks. I was kind of hoping Connor would come back. Should have known better. Do I take Harvey here? Do I take Waddle? Both a little bit of a fall. Waddle's a bigger fall, but I'm going to go Harvey just because I'm already strong at receiver with Nico, BTJ, and Worthy. Took Jackson Henry. Didn't realize that. Yeah, but I did that last time. I really like that. It's you get all the touchdowns. Same with the Saquon Hurts. Allen and Cook are very similar as well. So I don't think that's ever a bad strategy when you're getting all the, even if the running back doesn't catch a lot of passes, like Henry, like Barkley, just because they don't throw a lot. It just pays off. So Burrow goes pretty early in this, 66 overall. Still kind of falling more to the sixth round, but it is definitely a little unique of a draft. I haven't seen a draft, I'd say, with this many more unique picks, I'd say. Guys getting pulled up, guys just going to different areas than we're seeing them. Say Flowers in a non-Lamar stack being top 50 seems a little surprising. I get it sometimes when you're stacking them with Lamar. Let's see some other things. Kittle falling to the 5th. I love that. Other running backs going here. That all makes sense. Let's hit up the chat. Just got into my last fast poodle. Had to avoid you sharps. Well, it's hard to be a target for you in the early 60s. He is. I took him in the last draft, and I think, yes, Dobbins can be fine where he's going, but we've seen it with Sean Payton before. Kamara is obviously the closest comp, but they invested more in Harvey than they did Dobbins. Second round pick, clearly Sean Payton was in love with him, all that. And I just think Dobbins is going to be Dobbins could kind of get like 6 to 8 touchdowns just because I think he gets a lot of goal line work. But I think Harvey's just so explosive, can just add so much to the offense in general. I don't think it's so. Where did I know I'm up? Mahomes went. Jason got him. I got it. I am going to go Tony Pollard. I was hoping for Mahomes, but didn't get him, so I'll just be really strong at running back. I'll probably take a receiver with this next pick. Maybe Hawkinson. Let's see. Where are we at likes? And check real quick from my phone. $29 likes. Is that right? I thought we had more. Got to get that up. Let's see. Mooney, Cup went. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers here. Don't take as much as him as I probably should. So I want to get a little bit more mix. Jackson only had 4 rushing touchdowns last year, nominally. I do think this is part of the benefit of Henry. One, Henry's just so efficient. And the other thing is Lamar, they're just not going to use him in the tush push. But they also don't really use the tush push around the goal line. These are more like 3rd and 4th and 1 situations. And they were using like Andrews for that. I think anomaly in the sense of I wouldn't be shocked if he gets like 6 this year, but Lamar is not going to get the touchdown production that we see from Hurts and Allen because he does not have that inside the 3, inside the 5-yard rushing. Every now and then he will, but more it's because of like a scramble run, not like a dedicated run. He'll just have far less of those inside the 3 and 5 yard line, tush push or not. So I do think his rushing touchdowns are going to be more limited. He's going to get more rushing yards than those most of those other backs. Jaden Daniels can kind of match him in that same way. And honestly, Jaden Daniels is kind of the same. Like he ran inside the 5-10 yard line pretty decently. But he also got injured on one of those plays. So I could see them pulling that back from him a little bit as well. They just don't have the talent at running back that the Ravens do. So we'll see if Washington pulls that back. Just it's not worth it when you have a tank like a Josh Allen, like Jalen Hurts. Maybe you feel a bit more confident about them taking those tough runs inside the 5. But I wouldn't expect Lamar to be like top 3, top 4 even of rushing touchdowns. 29 likes. Thanks for looking it up, Fancy Dog. AJ Dillon should have zone position, tush pusher. Yeah, absolutely. All right, 2 picks to go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. 4-4. Need to get a quarterback at some point. But I'm going to keep pushing it right now. I'm going to take Trey Harris. It's the bring back to Nico. Also opens up, of course, Herbert. I'm actively trying not to take Cam Scadaboo. But no, with the 4 running backs I took, definitely don't need to take them this early. Drake May is definitely an option. Can stack him up later. Here, I could stack Dak later with Ferguson. I don't think that's the worst thing either. Might. I'm going to go May just because I have the Hall bring back also. Just already have a little correlation. We'll try and add more later if it fits. But I would consider either one. Yeah, Caleb is a quarterback who got way more rushing yards. They had over 400 last year, 0 rushing touchdowns. Drake May is another one. He didn't start every game. And he had 400 plus rushing yards. I think only had 2 rushing touchdowns, maybe 3. And famously had 0 design runs, or basically 0 design runs. So those are guys who they could see their rushing fantasy points just dramatically increase this year. May essentially had 50, 52, 53 rushing fantasy points last year. He could have over 100. Caleb could see a big jump as well. If he gets like 600 yards rushing and 4 to 6 touchdowns, easily in their wheelhouses. So yeah, that's a great point about Caleb as well. I think both of them, one of the big upsides on both of them is they have some rushing upside that we know about, but we are not giving it the same consideration that we're giving it to, and not that it's at the same level as Allen Hurts, but like I said, like May could have 100 rushing points. That's a lot. Caleb Williams, I could see 70 to 100 as well if things break the right way. Up in 4 picks. Look at the board real quick. McCarthy, Dak goes there. That's good value on Dak. Kyle Williams. So Kyle Williams didn't come back, but it's all good. David Njoku. So if Trevor Lawrence is there in 2 picks, I will take him. Obviously, I have Brian Thomas. So I think that's a good, solid pick there. I'm a big believer in Liam Cohen, big believer in Trevor Lawrence, just really finally taking the step this year. Hopefully he can stay healthy, increase their offensive line. They definitely increase their weapons. I know there's a lot of turnover losing Ingram, Kirk, and Gabe Davis, but I do believe in Hunter. I think De'Ami Brown can be fine. And I also think Brenton Strange can really fill in a lot of what Evan Ingram did. So could finish taking running backs early with Tootin, especially as part of a big stack. Could go with the first tight end. That's probably what I'm looking at here. Stroud, I don't need to push the third quarterback here. You know, I haven't taken as much Tootin lately. It's 8 picks past ADP. I'm going to go with that. I got the permission from Meg. You can draft another if you want. No, I'm going to draft another. Thank you guys for getting the likes up. Keep it going. We're going to keep rolling tonight. Stephen WC, GM, good everyone. Good seeing you, Stephen. Hope you're having a good night. This is our second Poodle of the night. If you're just coming in here, you know, and I'll leave it up to chat. I could have one more Poodle left. Could go to a Pitbull if that's what people want to do. I'm open to either. Let me know in the chat if you're looking to draft and what you're looking to do. So, meant to bring the board back up. We have entering the 13th round. I'm done at running back early. Definitely a very strong running back build. Still feel good about my receivers. I think I have 5 starting receivers, 2 starting quarterbacks. Not taking a tight end yet, but I have no, real concern about that, honestly, at this point. Tight ends go so late. Should be plenty of good options. Up in 5 picks, Goddard sitting there. Would be a great start there. Some receiver options. Bryce Young, always a good. Let's see here. It's up in 2 picks. Goddard went, which can't blame him. It's a good pick. Dobbs, Bryce Young. Dobbs goes. I'm going to take Bryce Young. Actually, it is the same buy. And I did notice Pat Fryermuth there. I will take Pat Fryermuth. Give me my first tight end. I like having at least one in this tier, even if I'm going 3 tight ends. Whether I get a second one in this range, Pat Bryant's also in the mix, Josh Palmer. Might go Brenton Strange just with the further team stack. I actually think I'm going to do that. And go all in on Jaguars. Hopefully Liam Cohen does a few magical things this year with this team. It was a little too early for Hunter Henry. If he comes back at 78, I will take him, go 3 tight ends in a row, and I'll feel really good about my tight end room. Let's see here. Got 1 Poodle left. Happy to run it here. All right, Chad, good hearing that. Either one is good, Hartman. If we get enough likes, I might run 2 drafts more. So if that's what the people want, I'm happy to do it. Mike Robb, is Drake May what you hope Daniel Jones will be one day? Yeah, I mean, the comp that obviously May got a lot was like Josh Allen, big, can run, big arm. But yeah, no, I mean, Daniel Jones was another one in that ballpark. I think May is the better passer overall, more confident, which I think is key, and actually probably even a better runner. But I like the UNC versus Duke competition there between May and Daniel Jones. Who hames them? DK Lobby praying there would be no naked Mahomes before ADP drafters in this room. Yeah, always concerned in the DK lobbies. Say no to Young. Rare. Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on Bryce Young. I think we saw down the stretch Dave Canales and oh geez, who hames? Yeah, not feeling good about if Joe Burrow went at 40 before Lamar. That is going to be an interesting room. Please report back. Let us know how it goes. Yeah, no, I'm bullish on Bryce Young and Dave Canales. Bryce Young has low-key running ability himself. And also, we saw, especially when Thielen came back, that offense was playing well. That passing offense was playing well. Bryce Young had some very good, usable weeks. And now they go out, young, more experience, getting T-Mac, more experience for their other weapons. Like, they had 3 rookies last year in Jatavian Sanders, Coker, and Leggett. I have my questions about Leggett, but hey, more experience for those guys can only be a positive. All right, did Hunter Henry did go. Where did he go? So 1 pick away. Might go Ertz. My guy Thielen is there. I'm always happy to take Thielen. I know Demario Douglas is a stack, but Thielen just has such higher upside. I will take Thielen. I haven't gotten a 6 receiver yet. I think that's a really good 6 receiver. And there's enough tight end options. I figured Ertz would go, but still plenty of guys to get late. We'll see if anyone takes Aaron Rodgers, but that was one of the reasons why I went for Armuth, to open myself up to a 3rd quarterback stack of Aaron Rodgers. Mason Taylor would be my fallback. And I will go Rodgers. Meg and I both talked about this. Aaron Rodgers still going as like quarterback 28, 29, 27, depending on kind of the format. He finishes quarterback 15 in total points, 17 in points per game last year. I just think he easily outplays that. And, I think he's going to throw more than people expect. People think Arthur Smith is just a run-only guy. I think a lot of that boils back to the quarterbacks that he had in Atlanta, Mariota and Ritter, not exactly guys you want to let the ball rip with. Tannehill had a really good year with Arthur Smith, and even throwing the ball. I mean, it wasn't the highest volume, but it was good enough. And I just believe Aaron Rodgers, we saw what he did with the Jets last year. They were, I think, maybe 12th in attempts per game, something like that. So I could see the Steelers being kind of at least top half of the league, like top 16. So, yeah, I'm more bullish on Rodgers. I know a lot of people are out there. Definitely want a 3rd tight end on this build. Freiermuth and Strange, I think, are fine, but I think getting a 3rd tight end is good, and I can always take a receiver. late. I will not take a lock at this time. Do not worry, Meg, if you're still watching. Yeah, handcuffing Hampton and Naj, I don't think it's terrible. I think you'll always have a Chargers running back. I think, right now, cost-wise, it's even more expensive than, say, the Seattle Walker and Charbonnet, but kind of close. So I do worry about that just from a cost perspective, but I think the Chargers, their offensive line is going to be really good. I think the offense is going to be top 10 potential. And yeah, they could have a lot of leads. So I don't hate it, but I would still want a pretty strong running back room around it just to make sure. Rocket Sanders erasure. Yeah. I don't think those pre-draft best ball bags of Raheem Sanders are going to pay off. I'm going to go Chig here. I think I don't have a ton of him, and he does have Gunnar Helm to battle it out with, but I'm okay taking a shot or two. Still Chig. Let's go wide receiver. Tutu, definitely a big fan of him. Could get Roman Wilson, Ray, even Tolbert. My guy MVS. But coming up, Diami went, yeah. So let's see here. I'm going to go Roman. I will double stack it. I feel good enough about this receiver room in case Roman Wilson kind of ends up as a dud, or maybe they sign Keenan Allen, something like that. But I have Nico, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, Jacoby Myers, Trey Harris, Adam Thielen. Like, I can get by, honestly, with 6 receivers. But adding Roman Wilson, he was a 3rd-round pick for a reason. Injury, lost rookie year. But we see this all the time. Like I said, I do think the Steelers are going to throw a lot more than people expect. And it's a decent enough bet for the 18th round. Board shares are so dead. Hopefully you're just talking about Raheem Sanders, not your big board exposures overall, because I know you did pretty much everything. So that would not be good if you think your entire big board portfolio is dead. Let's see, this draft is finishing up. We will quickly review it and get into another thing. I saw multiple people talk Poodle. I don't know if anyone wants to push for a Pitbull. I'm happy to do either. Like I said, I'm honestly happy to do both drafts if people are sticking around and keep liking the episode, etc. So let me know what everyone is looking for. This draft is complete. I will review it real quick and get into the next draft and keep this fun going. So that was my 17th. I have a couple slows going. So I think I have one more to go. Let's see. I didn't see you, CF Jaguar, in chat, so I'll just skip to Jason's team. 2682. Hurts, Mahomes, can definitely stop at 2 there. Went with more volume and just upside plays at running back, betting on Henderson, Etienne, Harris, and Earl Javante. He could be a league guy. And then Algier Shipley. I mean, these are all very usable, good, decent backs. It's not going to be a high-end running back room, but there's enough upside there that you should have 2 usable weeks or 2 usable games every week. Probably not hitting the flex as much as other builds, but your receivers are very strong, as I would imagine, in that kind of build. Lamb, Rice, Devonta, that's pretty good top 3. Then hitting the rookies here, and then going back with some more veteran presence in Slayton and Atwell, who both not only have veteran presence, but spike week. So just a ton of upside at the bottom of that receiver room to go with the 3 vets who, particularly Lamb and Rice, could be top 10 receivers. And then McBride, Kelsey, yeah, really, really strong there. Kind of went over my team as we went through it. Let's look at Fantasy Dog's team real quick. 3-6-7-2. Lamar, Penix, taking a shot at Anthony Richardson. I know big on Anthony Richardson. So I get it. If that's your stand, that's your take, go for it. If he does play, his spike week potential is as high as anyone. Then hitting Henry, Connor, Eckler, Roschon, Miles Sanders, Raheem Mostert. Again, these are running backs I like to target as well. 2 clear locked up running backs starters. Then Eckler, I think one of the best satellite secondary backs. Roschon, as I mentioned before, I think could have a role there. Miles Sanders is going to push for a starting role. And Raheem Mostert right now, I mean, Chip Kelly says they're going to kind of utilize 2 backs. I think Genty is going to have the 60% role, 65%, but another back could have some usable fantasy weeks. I'm fine betting on Mostert over Sincere McCormick or Zamir White. So I don't mind taking that at all. Then London, T-Mac, Olave, Mooney, Cup, Rashid Shaheed, Hopkins. I mean, all those guys up until Hopkins are 1s or 2s on their team. Some spike week upside with guys like Mooney and Shaheed in particular. And then Hopkins, I think, is a fine play. We know it's a top tier offense. Bateman and Flowers have both, been banged up some. Andrews has been banged up some. So there's just avenues where Hopkins gets more of a role. Then Jonnu likely another, and both of those guys more stacks for Lamar. Totally get it. Nice strong build. All right. Fantasy football. Let me just hit up chat real quick. Let's see here. Oh, a lot of Steelers know how to draft receivers better than any team in the league. That is very true. Fantasy Dog, it's new Fanspeak Network. Yes, you were 2 picks ahead of me. You took 2 of my players, of course, Thielen and Pollard. Yeah, sorry about that, Fantasy Dog, but that's how it goes sometimes. Except for the Niners, they can draft pass catchers. Yeah, Pitbull or Poodle either works. Blocking gritty pass catchers in San Francisco. FK, yeah, Poodle's 90% fill. Everyone have about 24 hours left to max. Yeah, I think it's filling by Sunday morning at the early or at the latest now at this point. Oh, UC Jaguar, you were in here. Sorry, didn't review your team. 24 hours. Yeah. Poodle, so much fun drafting with other people on stream. What are you running next? Ryan, it sounds like people are looking for Poodle. Really do my team. Bad. Thank you. Fantasy Football Garage, good seeing you. I know you're going on later tonight, so definitely catch that. Also, yeah, no, Poodle works. All right, let's do my last Poodle, and if there's enough people wanting to keep going, then I'll do a Pitbull afterwards. But let's do a Poodle first. I'm going to jump in from my phone, just so don't have the location here. Had that the other day. I was on Candyman's stream and wasn't able to get into the draft with them because of that. Always so annoying from Underdog, but it's what we deal with. So I will count it down. Yep, this is my last Poodle. It's 90%, as FK said. I will count it down in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. And we have draft starting soon. So unfortunately, probably snap filled that. Not sure if anyone got in. Let's see. Poodle starts. And there we go. Always right in with the world. I get the 101. UFC Jaguar and Huron River Rat got in here. Sorry for anyone else for not able to get in. I don't see any names I recognize. Oh, Chad, you did get in. Good to see you. Glad you got in also. So yeah, I got the 101 again. Candyman right here. Eddie, sorry, Steve. Sorry, man. I will probably be ripping a Pitbull after this. Anyone wants to do that? I'm going to be in the underflow. Dang, you're alone. Now, luckily, I got a few people in. One pool left. I'm going to pivot to the pit soon. 101. Yeah, I don't know what it is. All right, let me make my pick. You know, for me, I'm going to be taking Chase pretty much every time at the 101. Every now and then I'll mix it up, but it's going to be rare. How's it going, Fancy Dog? Some of us in the overflow. Let me know how the overflow is going. We did this last night. Make a nice stream. There were some fun overflow drafts. So please let me know how that goes. All right. So goes Chase Jefferson, which we're seeing more and more of. I still kind of like taking a running back at 2 and 3. I think both Robinson and Barkley especially profile so well. Chad gets Bijan at 4. I think that's very strong. I think Bijan, we saw down the stretch him getting utilized more. We saw Penix, you know, if that offense takes off, you know, that was the thing. Like Cousins was clearly not playing 100%. That offense was suffering because of it. Really could see this offense take a jump this year. And, you know, Bijan is just so talented. So let's go to the board. UCF Jaguar and Huron River Red. I think they were back-to-back last draft, back-to-back again. Malik Neighbors for UCF. And Nico for Jason. Yeah, I mean, those two receivers there, so tough to not take them. Sometimes I bring up Amon Ross, sometimes I'm taking Genty at that 9-10, but those two are really, really strong. It is interesting. We've seen BTJ kind of fully pushed now to the second round. That is, you know, I'm okay with it because I'm getting him with a good player a lot when I'm in the back half. But I just find that interesting given what we saw from him last year was not far off from Neighbors in terms of upside. I know some of that is, of course, you know, Hunter being there, but at the same time, adding Liam Cohen, you know, Neighbors, I mentioned earlier, has a quarterback upgrade, but the offense system is the same. The offensive line is bad. You know, Jaguars are just much better across the board. So Chad coming up here. Who's he paired with? Bijan. T. Higgins. I like that. I talked about that before. I think having Higgins, that you're then kind of in control of Burrow, you force me to, if I want to guarantee Burrow, to take him, you know, at the next turn. And, you know, we'll see what I do. I will take Josh Jacobs. And I will go, you know, I'm going to go Devontae Adams. I am just very bullish on Adams. Talked about it earlier. He just has upside to be easily a top 5 receiver. I know it sounds crazy, but he legitimately could be number 1 receiver. I know a lot needs to go right then. That, in that case, probably Puka would need to miss some time, but I just going to a great offensive system with Sean McVay. We've seen, I know everyone assumes Puka is just going to dominate, but Puka is dominated with Kupp, you know, banged up and on the downside. Adams outproduced Garrett Wilson, who is, you know, 7 years younger than him, or 8 years younger than him. So I just am, Adams is just not a guy I count out, especially with his touchdown upside. Chad going Marvin Harrison. I was about 2 seconds too late. Sorry about that. I had to pause it and we got a 10 swing on me. You think Rodgers is a good value in Superflex? I do. I think you whether he's your third or fourth quarterback, I think he's going to outplay his ADP. So you're getting him late and, in the 50s or 60s, and he is going to probably pretty clearly outplay that. So no, I think Rodgers is pretty strong across the board. He's not a guy who's going to be a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback. I think those days are behind him. But again, he finished 15th in total points last year, can easily be in that mix again this year. No, Eddie, I remember that overflow draft last night. That went real well for you. Chase is in his prime. He's going to going out on show every week this season. Yeah. That's catchers in Cincy. You're going to be living large this year. Oh, no, I totally agree. I mean, I'm not down on them at all. Not against wide receiver 1 and 2, as long as you get a strong running back next 2 rounds. I do prefer running backs, yeah. And draft feels better when Steve ain't in it. Just saying thank you. Good luck. I hope you draft a second place finisher because I'm finishing first. There you go. Love it. Who Haynes? Really weird with the Travis Hunter news. I don't know if there's anything else. Are you still referring to the James Gladstone comments? To me, I put little stock in that. I think end of the day, it's going to boil down to the coach and Hunter more than anything else. And both of them have incentive for him to be playing as much wide receiver as possible. Wide receivers get paid way more money than running backs or than cornerbacks. Plus, Lawrence is available for late BTJ stack. Yep, 100%. No. In Superflex, I think, my point is I think Rodgers can pay off as your number 2 just because he could finish as quarterback 15 or 16. So, yeah, that's not terrible since you probably got some really good other pieces in between your quarterback 1, whether you took him in round 1 or 2 or 3. And Russ, I think, is fine as a quarterback 3. I definitely would probably be a 5 quarterback build in Superflex. If you get Dart to get the full Giants, I get that. Handcuff your other quarterback. I don't think handcuffing Rodgers makes a ton of sense, but you could do it that way. Not going to take Burrow here, but I will take George Kittle. Hunter, not going to go that route. I'm going to go George Pickens. Pickens has risen a fair amount. I think it's fine. I do think we need to keep in mind 2 years ago, Dak led the league in touchdowns. Brian Schottenheimer was offense coordinator. I don't think, people who think that Brian Schottenheimer is just going to run, I think are sorely mistaken. I think some of that was a Pete Carroll issue out in Seattle. And no more late night, Steve. Your training redemption is needed. And Big Gator Steve needs to put Mr. ETR back in the country club. Steve, you a Washington Nationals fan? Just know the shirt. I know you're a Commanders fan. Yes. No, I'm a big Nats fan. Also grew up an Orioles fan, so I still root for them as well. But yeah, big Nats fan. Obviously, it's been a rough go the last few years since the World Series run in 19, which was incredible, but do enjoy the Nats quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. Now I see what you mean. Who Hames? Yep. It's wild. Why should you get paid more? I get it. I do. But playing cornerback, no. 100% agree with you, Eddie. Cornerback is a much tougher position. But I also think it's a position where you're up and down. I mean, even Sauce Gardner last year did not have a good year. And we consider him essentially the first or second best corner. I mean, we just saw Jair Alexander cut. It's a tough position for sure, but I think it's because of that it's less consistent. Like elite wide receivers stay elite wide receivers. We just talked about Devontae Adams. We talk about Chase. I mean, Chase since he's entered the league has just been insane. Jefferson since he's entered the league has been insane. Devontae Adams after his first year or two when he was in Rodgers' doghouse and couldn't catch the ball has been insane. Terry McLaurin, 1,000 yards every year. Mike Evans, 1,000 yards every year. Wide receiver offers more consistency. I think that's one of the wider reasons. Obviously, people focus on offense. But I do think one of the reasons is it's actually one of the few areas that in quarterback are the areas where if you're paying for it, you're getting the production. So I do think that helps in that regard. Oh, nice. Mackenzie Gore. Yeah, part of the Juan Soto trade. That was a massive trade for the Nats. Obviously, Soto's a tremendous player, but didn't lead to any Padres World Series. But yeah, big Mackenzie Gore fan. That's really cool. And James Wood, yeah. No, there's a lot of upside talent. CJ Abrams is another one. Dylan Cruz, who's been a little banged up this year. They in a year or two, they could be back in the mix. Got solid. Commander stack earlier. Daniels, McLaurin, and Debo. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, let's see here. We can go Quinshon Judkins to start. And then I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall. We saw the news that the Brand Ayuk thing does not look like he's going to be ready anytime soon. I'm not surprised. We've been avoiding him at his 8 current ADP. There's probably an ADP where it will make sense to him, but I think he needs to fall there. I really do. Hope we get that news. But until then, I'm going to keep scooping Pearsall and some Jennings as well. And Kittle, I think, is a big beneficiary. Also, Pearsall, people knock him because, like 2 big games and another usable game in there. But, he was shot. He missed camp time. He missed first 7 weeks. And now it's like the door's open. Like the path is clear. I think we saw not just week 17, but we saw he runs good routes. I mean, there's a reason he snuck into the first round as he did. I think they're very bullish on him. Any super flex tonight? I can offer that up as the last draft. I'm going to do one more. People want to do super flex versus Pitbull. We can talk about that then. Was Revis in his prime the best corner ever? I mean, that's a very good question. I think it is tough. I mean, you look at guys like Deion Sanders was obviously a shutdown corner. Darryl Green in the 80s and 90s. I honestly think Rod Woodson should maybe be considered the best corner because he was so good in coming up and stopping the run. Also blitzing. He had 1 year with like 6 sacks. Even before he moved to safety, he was a good blitzer. But no, Revis just had such a good run. He was one of the more consistent corners. It was about a 6-year run where you just could not throw on him. Revis Island was a real thing. Nats got the best of the Soto trade. Yeah, Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, James Wood. Yep, got a couple other prospects in there as well. Absolutely agree. I think they won that deal. I get why the Padres did it. Soto is such an elite talent, but Nats were able to get a good price. What first round pick do I think it finishes with the lowest advance rate? That's a good question. I think you can obviously make the case that CMC is the riskiest still because just his age and injury history. I think Genty, a rookie on a team that probably isn't top, Raiders aren't going to be a top 10 offense. There's some risk taking a running back not on an elite offense, particularly a rookie. I don't care how good Genty is. I like Genty. I'm still taking him some at the back half of the first round. I think you can make that case just that there's just not enough touchdowns there. A little bit of the same argument can be made with Malik Neighbors, just because, again, not a good offense. So those would probably be the 3 that I'd point to. But it's tough to say. Usually what it ends up being is an injury. McCaffrey last year. Brees Hall also didn't have a good advance rate among first-round picks. So injury or an offense going bad. Kittle, biggest winner. Yeah, no, I think Kittle is very much a big winner. Let's see here. We will take Jordan Mason. And I'm going to pull up Purdy with the double stack. As much as I love Fields, got to take Purdy there when I have two pieces there in Ricky and Kittle. Definitely consider double tapping quarterback there, but I have some other options I can get later. So back to the board. Yeah, no, Revis up. Peak Champ Bailey. That is absolutely another good call. Both with Washington and Denver. Like he stayed, he was traded for Portis and they gave him a second-round pick, which top runner for top corner does not make sense, as much as I love Clinton Portis. And Champ just kept going to Pro Bowls and All Pros every single year. Charles Woodson's another one who would be in the mix. Good call on Champ. Raiders will be a top 10 offense. That's a bold strat, bold call. I mean, I'm not. Look, we see surprising top 10 offenses every year. One or two sneak in there. I love Chip Kelly. I do agree with that. I just think that the offensive line is average at best. Geno Smith, average at best. Bowers is elite. Genty could even be elite, but sometimes elite backs, see Saquon Barkley, see Derrick Henry when Tennessee is bad, don't pay off as much as we want them to. Where does Emmanuel Forbes rank on the cornerback list? Well, definitely one of the biggest busts in first round. Definitely one of the reasons why Ron Rivera is no longer head coach anywhere. He just really swung and missed on just about every pick he made. First round picks of Chase Young, John Davis, Emmanuel Forbes. Not a good list. That was ugly. And I will say Emmanuel Forbes made a lot of wide receivers money by playing against him, but he did not make himself money. Cornerback least deep NFL history. Yeah, going back long term, guys like Adderley, Willie Brown, Haynes, Champ Bailey, Mel Blount, Ty Law's another good one. Champ Woodson, absolutely. Raiders have to play KC and Denver's defense for 4 games. Yeah. Yep. No. And Chargers defense is nothing. I do think they take a step back, but they were like a top 5 unit last year. So no, they're in a tough defensive division. Yeah. No, Dion, the one issue that I always had with Dion, an elite cover guy, big play guy, but never any help in run support. And in the era that he played with, that was actually more of a factor, big factor, in fact. But I mean, Dion is Dion, no question. Yeah. Oh, I had a lot of Dylan Cease as well. Yeah. Underrated stud. Raiders move Jackson Powers. Yeah, I do like Jackson Powers Johnson. I just think at best it's average. Yeah, Ron fell off after leaving. Yep, Fantasy Dog was on Chargers as well. Dean couldn't tackle me. Yeah. No, that was, he won with coverage for sure. I'm on the clock. This is going to be interesting with not having time. So we are going to go back to the Rashard Bateman well. for the first pick. And then Dak must have gone. I was hoping Dak was coming back. He did not. We will go. Yeah, we'll go Drake May. I know that he's got the same buy as Brock Purdy, but we're going to add a third quarterback. I just love May's upside. Not my favorite situation, but I have no stacks going with anyone else. May at least is somebody you don't have to stack. And, I'm definitely adding the third quarterback. Let's bring up the board. Yeah, Dak went here in the middle. Love Champ in his prime. Yeah, no, Champ was amazing. Pulling guards is why I retired from football. Yeah, well, he said business decisions. One of the best punt returners all time. Yeah. No, I mean, I think I'm a very bullish on Genty, and Bowers is no doubt elite. It's just every team, Chiefs, obviously Mahomes is still very good. I think Rice, Worthy, and just their totality on offense is very strong. Denver, Bo Nix looked great as a rookie. Had Evan Ingram, Harvey, and Pat Bryant to Cortland Sutton. And they probably had the best offensive line in the division. And then Chargers, adding Najee, Hampton, Trey Harris to go along with Ladd and Herbert. And they also added to their offensive line. So it's a very tough division. I think in, say, the South, AFC South, the Raiders would be much more competitive. Not saying they can't shock anyone. Nobody thought Denver necessarily would shock anyone last year, and they did. But it's going to be a tough road. So worried about the Texans O-line this year. Should have kept our first and got a top O-line prospect. What I will say about the Texans, I talked about it a little earlier. I took Mixon in a draft. I think, yes, they trade away their top offensive lineman, but I also think they're better as a whole. Cam Robinson's a fine replacement. They got, a second-round offensive lineman. They got some more depth. I think they're deeper along the offensive line. I also think they got a new offensive line coach, and offense coordinator, which was absolute must. I don't think it's going to be a great unit, but it might be pretty serviceable and actually an improvement from last year. Darren Woodson, yeah, that was good. Good safety, very good defense backfield back then. Chiefs Super Bowl hangover, not impressed by their offseason. Chargers will be tough, not sold on Knicks one bit. Yeah, maybe. I'm more bullish on Knicks than the Broncos. I thought he showed a lot without having a lot of offensive weapons outside Cortland Sutton. And I think they were smart to go out and fix that. And like I said, I think they have a great offense line. But yeah, Knicks, maybe he does have that second year slump. Defense been wrecking our O-line so far. Well, to be fair, the Texans defense is really good. I think that, Will Anderson and what's his name, the other edge, are exceedingly good. They got good tackles, good linebackers. Obviously, Stingley is a stud. So I won't take Bryce Young for the week 14. I don't have another good stack. I'm going to take Algier here for a running back. Don't have another stack set up. I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence and backstack him just because I did take 2 week 14 buys. I want to have maybe a little better option than some other late options and don't want to get boxed out. Yeah, strong take, but hey, we all have our strong takes and we'll see, if that's what you believe. I definitely would draft that way. And see where it goes. But I think the AFC West is probably top to bottom the best division. You can say NFC North is pretty good if Chicago really turns it on this year. I think those are probably the two that I'd point to. There's other divisions like, I think NFC East with Dallas and Dak coming back could be good, but Giants aren't going to be that good. Same, I feel, kind of with the AFC North. Ravens, Bengals, Steelers are all good, but not really thinking the Browns are going to make a run this year. This is a poodle draft. This was my last poodle, so got in this. It's about to fill. It's at over 90% now. It'll probably fill sometime tomorrow. Definitely got over 10% today. So now the thing is, obviously, a lot of people like myself are now maxed out. But yeah, I think at worst this is Sunday morning, but very probably at this point, since it's only 9:50 East Coast, will probably fill sometime tomorrow. Peyton did well managing Knicks. Yeah. No, I mean, they did, but that's also why they went out and got weapons and got talent. They also improved their defense. No, I agree with that, Eddie. Like if Stroud gets hurt, they're in big trouble. Yeah, no, I'm not loving my quarterback room because I tried to push Dak and that didn't work out. All right, let's see where we are at here. 6 picks away. I need to figure some things out here. I will take a second tight end in Strange if he's available. There's multiple teams here with only one tight end, so he might get taken. But that was a risk I was taking to get him a little past ADP. Done at quarterback. Need wide receiver help. Could go to my guy Thielen. Only have Ricky at 14 right now. This is definitely not shaping up to be my favorite draft. I'll be honest about that. We'll see how we finish it up. Definitely taking Strange here. Yeah, I'll take another Thielen share. I need to catch up a bit more at receiver. Love my first 4 picks, but then, Bateman's fine also. Thielen, overall, it's good, but not my favorite. But I said, build a team with the big boys, give me no line, some cheap running backs. Yeah, no, I think we are seeing a lot of teams investing more in their offensive line. We saw the Lions do that, even losing Frank Ragnow. I think they have a good offensive line. And it pays off. Like, this is why running backs are hitting on some of these better built teams. Like Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, they have a good, strong offensive line, just good offensive system. Barkley going to the Eagles, went from one of the league's worst offensive lines in the Giants to one of the league's best. Big time improvement. Jacobs from the Raiders to the Packers, etc. So there's something to be said about building that O-line out. So you can have Chaitless. There you go. Are you higher in the Jets or the Pats as far as their top trios? Fields, Brees Wilson, May Travion, Packers wide receivers, even considering cost. So in terms of, my top 2 on quarterbacks right now are May and Fields because I love their price. I don't like Garrett Wilson's price. I think he goes early 3rd round mostly. I think it's going to be very tough for him to pay that off. I've talked about it in some other streams and things before, but Fields last year averaged about, in 6 starts with the Steelers, averaged about 26 pass attempts per game. His highest for his career has only ever been like 28.4, 28.5. That's less than 500 passing attempts for a season. So even if you project Garrett Wilson to have like 30% target share, guys who are on teams with 650 pass attempts, 625, 600 at 20 or 25% are going to have more targets than Garrett Wilson, and they're going to be better targets because basically any quarterback's going to give better quality targets than Justin Fields. That's not to say I think Justin Fields is a fantasy, the Rich Rebar Konami code. Like where he's going, he's got the same rushing upside as Jaden Daniels, as Lamar Jackson. He can rush for 800 to 1,000 rushing yards, 4 to 8 touchdowns. So yeah, I think he can add a lot, and you're gaining him such a steal. So overall, I'd say the Patriots, I like Hall over Henderson at their current ADPs. I think Henderson should probably fall a little bit because I think him and Ramondre split that role a little bit more than people are expecting. But Diggs, I think, is just a massive value over Garrett Wilson. So I kind of gave you both answers because it depends on which position. I love both quarterbacks at their current ADPs. Obviously, May's cheaper, 20 some picks cheaper. So that's slightly better. But so if I had to pick one full team, it would be the Patriots. But I'm very, very bullish on Fields. All right, we are back and not loving this area. We'll take another stack, De'Ami Brown. And running back here, am I looking? Definitely a thin room. I think I'm going 6 backs. Jarquez Hunter will be the first of those. Only going 2 tight ends with Kittle and Strange. So probably just looking at running back here unless something crazy falls. But have quite a few picks to go, so I'm not going to queue anything up. Where was I? Behind my NFL best ball, trying to take overlay in 17 stretch. Yeah, I did a lot of regular baseball. Haven't done any of the 17 stretch, but I do know that there's going to be overlay. Not sure if I'll jump in on any teams or not. But yeah, it makes sense with the overlay for sure. Your Wilson take is one of the rare ones I disagree with. We're taking him in round 1 last year with the grumpus Aaron Rodgers leaving the play clock to -7. Yeah, the thing is, though, Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 600 times. He threw 28 touchdowns. Those are 2 things that I think are almost impossible for Justin Fields to do. Like, Justin Fields, I don't know if we'll and I appreciate different opinions on this, but I just don't think Justin Fields is going to throw 500 times. And I'd be shocked if he throws 20 touchdowns. So I know Adams came in there and started stealing some touchdowns. But Garrett Wilson had by far his highest touchdown number last year. And I just think it actually goes down this year. It doesn't go up. I don't think it's very likely it goes up, particularly if there's only going to be 20, 21 touchdowns. And that's probably the high end for the Jets passing wise, just because I think Fields is going to steal some. I think Breece Hall is going to steal them. My thing on Wilson is it's very hard for him to exceed his current ADP. Like I think we're kind of drafting him at his highest level. Is just kind of my take on it. And where I would say Aaron Rodgers was actually very much a net positive for Garrett Wilson with the number of targets and touchdowns they got last year. Breece Hall scares me. He would destroy me, or I think the Lord I didn't get too much from him. Yeah, he's been up and down fantasy wise. Obviously injured as a rookie, was great year 2, but that was so much due to his just PPR scam. Passing last year kind of mixed, definitely not worth the pick. This year, I like it just, I think from the Lions system perspective, coming over Taylor Engstrom and that offense line. I think he runs a fair amount. I don't know how much Fields will jump it off to him, but I think he'll be fine. Those Rodgers stats just blew my mind. Did not know that. Yeah, no, I think his passing attempts were like 585 or something like that. And then Tyrod Taylor had some as well. So I think they had 600 as a team. And yeah, so that's just my take on it. Again, I know there's other sides to it. I think Garrett Wilson has to have like a 34-35% target share, which is, it sounds good on paper, but is next to unheard of. Like, I know Malik Neighbors did that last year, but we see maybe 30% target shares a year. And, I just don't know we can truly predict that Garrett Wilson will have that. DS, good seeing you. Yes, I will be running another draft. It's got to be either a Pitbull or a Superflex. I am out of Poodles now. So let me know what everyone wants to run. If anyone's interested in Pitbull, if anyone wants me to go over to Superflex streets, happy to do with whatever the chat wants to do. Nice analysis on Jets Pats. Agree that Wilson will be a risk, although talent may allow him to work 1,208 plus touchdowns. Yeah, no, I think that's in the range. It's at like the 99th percentile range. Like, this is what DJ Moore did 2 years ago with Fields, and that was like the absolute elite outcome from it. It can still happen with Wilson. My problem is we are paying the highest price. Like, if I'd rather see Wilson at the end of the third round, even into the early fourth. Guys like Mike Evans may actually get the same number of targets, but he's a lock for double-digit touchdowns. I mean, 8 is like his minimum, and he gets 1,000 yards every year. So, Chad, appreciate the draft. Absolutely not my best performance. I will take a quick look at it. Thanks again for the great content. Always appreciate you, Chad. I want to draft either, or I'm down for Superflex also. What if Fields is much better than before? It's possible. His completion percentage was higher with Steelers last year. Another thing I will point to in terms of the lack of competition, George Pickens, for the first 6 weeks, Fields was a starter, 100% starter. George Pickens was 100% healthy, unlike later in the year with Russ when he was banged up. And in those first 6 weeks, George Pickens finished as, I believe, 46 in total points just through the first 6 weeks and 56 in points per game. And that's with no other receiver competition, just Pat Freiermuth there from Justin Fields. A lot of that was just a volume standpoint. So just something to keep in mind. And don't get me wrong, Garrett Wilson is a better receiver than George Pickens, but just from the perspective as lack of competition, etc. Get a Pitbull, have a Superflex. Pitbull. All right, definitely seeing like more Pitbulls. We'll do that. Disbanded. No, the Michael Jordan catch Garrett Wilson made last year was his pinnacle so far. Absolutely. And no, I really like the talent with Garrett Wilson. I just think he's going, I want to see him go essentially 9 to 12 spots later. It's just so hard for me to draft him ahead of guys like Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, who McLaurin didn't have 120 targets, but he's got Jane Daniels. Jane Daniels, I think everyone's going to be in agreement. Jane Daniels is better than Justin Fields. And I just think Terry has a better touchdown equity, even if he doesn't run pure. JSN, I think you can make the case for over Garrett Wilson. But I want some Garrett Wilson. There's no question on that. See another Pitbull. Yeah. We'll be doing that. I'm going to do a quick review of these teams and do one more final draft for the night. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for joining the drafts, all the comments, the likes, the views. Appreciate you all. Appreciate everyone's support as we keep growing Fanspeak Network. We're trying to get to the road to 1,000. We'll do a 24-hour live stream. I'll be on it plenty. Meg will be on it plenty. Our other guys will get guests, etc. Will be a lot of fun. Went through my team. Definitely not my favorite work, so I'm with you, Chad, on that. Let me take a look at your team and a few others that were in this draft real quick. Chad, 3663, Burrow, Darnold, Chuck. So definitely looks like you got boxed out. Quarterback, probably more than you wanted. Bijan, Cook, Caleb. Like that running back room. I'm taking the Miles Sanders shots here. Devin Neal, I think, is a good, solid bet to be the RB2 there. Higgins, Marv, Waddle, Kupp, Harris, Shaheed. I know you stopped at 6. Have a few bye week overlaps, which can be a little tougher when you're only doing 6. But your running back room is strong enough that most of the time they're flex, and those weeks are not overlapping. 8 and 12 are not the weeks where your running backs are. So I think that's all good. And really strong tight end room. So I think you'll definitely get a lot of points through there. Let's see. UCF Jaguar 3573. Definitely my favorite build. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, adding Cam Ward. Very young quarterback room, but obviously a ton of upside there. We talked a lot about Jaden and Caleb earlier. Cam Ward I took in another draft. Kyron Harvey, Swift, Jones, Mostert. Definitely can stop at 5. I'm not the biggest Kyron fan at his current ADP, but he's definitely got the lead role there. Harvey, Swift, Jones can all be lead backs as well. Neighbors, AJ Brown, tremendous start there. Add Debo, Burden, Kyle Williams, get some rookies. Upside playing Cedric Tillman, Romeo Dubs, Loveland. So a lot of stacking. I'm not the biggest Ben Sinnott fan. I know why. Some people take a shot on him in Jaden builds. I still think he's kind of buried in Washington just from what I've seen, but I get it. He's a former second-round pick. People worry about Ertz's age and health, so I get the theory behind it. Just not. That's not going to be something I really take. Jason 2673, Alan Stroud, really strong there. All Kamara, and then Hayden up. Full Jets running back room. I like that. Justice Hill, Jalen Warren, Rashard Smith. Yeah, a lot of passing down backs and Warren, Hill, and Smith there. Nico, Brian Thomas, we talked about that start being really strong. Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Mbuka, Betch, Thornton. So taking the rookie shots after getting the strong 4 to start. And Ingram, Kincaid, Mason Taylor. Yeah, particularly if Kincaid can finally break out, that always looks good. So that's the ones in this room. Looks like people wanted a Pitbull. There was some super flex. Next week, I will definitely be doing super flex drafts. I know there's some super flex drafts in here. Darkside Dev, good seeing you. But I think we're going to do a Pitbull just because there did seem to be more votes on that. And I will enter it from my phone. I will let you know. I will count it down. Next week, I will be doing multiple shows. Maybe we'll still do some Pitbulls there. I have a few more left. But absolutely have a lot of Superflex that we will be targeting next week for sure. And we'll also see if Underdog releases anything else. But Pitbull, 20-second clock, obviously. I am going to enter it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. So let's see. One more to start. So unfortunately, hopefully you guys jumped in before me. Pitbull starts soon. All right, we got our guy Young Mullah in here. It's not Candyman. That's a different Candyman, right? So unfortunately, Young Mullah, looks like you're the only guy who jumped in with us. So, yeah, everyone else, a lot of badges in here. I know I've seen John Galt before. If anyone else is in here, please let us know. So sorry, not doing Superflex this time. Had a hard time separating. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, Sinnott didn't run routes last year, and I do worry like he's, just kind of not going to see growth in his role this year. They have another blocking tight end whose name is escaping me right now. They drafted him in the 4th round from Boise State a couple years ago, but they're pretty high on him as their blocking tight end. So just Sinnott being on the field could be much thinner than people think. DS, you said you're in here. Is this you at the 5 spot? Or yeah. All right, draft has started. Chase, Jefferson. Yeah, we got another one in here. Overflow somehow. Yeah, I picked a bad time. DS5. That all right? That's you. Thanks for joining. Good luck. Good luck to you, Jason, and the other one. I hope the overflow goes well. Let me know how it goes. Young Mullah goes Lamb. DS goes Gibbs. Yeah, just as we would expect. I'm at the 8th spot. I'm going to go Puka. I know we talked about the Adams' potential to outperform Puka, which I think is, 20%, something like that. It's nothing crazy. But I went plenty of Puka. His upside is just as massive. And, I didn't feel the need to pull up McCaffrey anymore. Oh, we see A-Chain pulled up here. Somebody kind of flipping the board at the back end here. That's interesting. Thank you. I'll fill the last 2 spots. Yeah. Sorry about that, Philip. But thank you for joining us in chat. Good luck in your draft as well. And we will, I'm not sure the next day I'm going to do one of these shows. Definitely not tomorrow. Yes, pick 5 is in chat. It's DS in chat. So yeah, there's 3 of us in this one. But as for the next time we do this talking ball with Steveospeak, I'll have to see, maybe Sunday or Monday. I'll have to look at what my schedule's like. I'm going to do the Puka London start. They play week 17. I think that's good value in London here. So I'm very happy with that start. So let's see here. What do we got? Let me go to the board. Bowers starting to go more in the back half of the first round. I like that. I feel much more comfortable taking Bowers in this range than I do up here. Neighbors went even higher, so he could have done the Bowers Neighbors. But even when you have Neighbors in the first round, I'm just not a huge fan of taking Bowers in this like 13 to 16 range. So hopefully Bowers starts falling a little bit. All right. Marvin Harrison kind of pulled up by Young Mullah. Again, if this is, a fun way to get different. I mentioned that, I like kind of doing that more in the second round, pulling some like a third rounder up a little bit. So, I like that approach. John Galt pulls up Devontae Adams to the turn. I did that last time at 25. Same thing here, obviously at 24. So he went Chase, Adams, Hill. I mean, that's an upside play at wide receiver for sure. But I actually like what number 2 is doing. Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, T. Higgins. That feels really strong as well. So let's see what Young Mullah does. Trey McBride. So doubling up Arizona there. Yeah, I mean, that's probably Arizona's 2 passing weapons right there. So, and I'm, McBride, my issue with him, might take him some, but it's just, I feel Kittle's just a better value, 2 rounds later. But I do want exposure to McBride. He's clearly a talent. I personally think Harrison eats into his target share a little bit more, but I think both can be very fantasy viable. I will go. I don't have as much JSN. Don't love it, but I'll take it. When I'm in the middle, you know, you never know what falls back to you. A lot of times I pull up Mike Evans there. That's typically my go-to, but I'll go heavy at receiver early, try and catch up at running back. Just not in love with Kyron Williams at ADP. I like him more falling to like 40. Please don't steal my guys. Yep. Gonna draft some Poodles. Good luck, Eddie. Yeah, no, he is falling. And I do think it's the right call. Same with McBride. I think they should all be going closer to Kittle. Might get Kittle too. Hey, go bully tight end. There you go. Up in a couple picks. So may go receiver, but probably Daniels or James Cook. I think I'm leaning that direction. I'm more bullish on James Cook. I have him a little down from what this ranking shows, but I have him above ADP. I'm going to go Jane Daniels. I think taking an elite quarterback, especially in these, Pitbull, smaller pods for advancing in the playoffs, having an elite quarterback can really be strong in that approach. One, to help you advance. Two, in 1 of 5, 1 of 6, 1 of 5, if Jaden Daniels or any of these elites are what you expect, most weeks they're going to finish as a top 6, top 7 quarterback. And so you just have a real chance of, if your pod doesn't have some of the other guys, you're maybe not too far behind at quarterback. I don't discount any strategy. And no, and then if you're drafting into volume, you absolutely should mix up your builds, mix up your exposures, do double elite tight end, do double elite quarterback. Go 4 receivers to start. I'm not as big on 5 receivers to start, but go 3 running backs to start. Do whatever it is, mix it up, find different builds, make different stands. Absolutely. Got to get weird with it. Well, good luck. Got sniped on the receivers. I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. Double elite tight end is the only strategy I will not do. I do think it's tough just because where the elite tight ends are going, the receivers there are still and definitely the running backs are out projecting them in points. Later on, you have tight ends who, like a Mark Andrews, actually is going to project more points than a lot of number of receivers in that range. Tucker Kraft, if you believe what he could do, Tyler Warren, his upside case, even some later tight ends like Ertz, Freiermuth, Hunter Henry, Gesicki. If you believe Gesicki's going to get more than 2 touchdowns, or Jake Ferguson gets more than a touchdown, he didn't have a single touchdown this year, they're going to outproject a lot of the receivers in that range. But early on, the receivers are going to outproject them. The running backs are definitely going to outproject them. So that is the downside about the elite tight end, especially double elite tight end. Can it still work? 100%. But I do think it's a little harder to thread the needle. I'm going to pull up Kamara above Mixon and Walker. Kamara to me has the highest upside of the 3. I know, Walker is so explosive in and of his own right, but Kamara doesn't have Taysom Hill vulturing him anymore. Very good offensive line, young quarterback, should see a ton of dump offs, should see a ton of usage. Offense might not be great, but I'm actually a big Kellen Moore fan. I think he's been good at Dallas, was good at the Chargers, good at the Eagles. Sure, there's a lot more talent on those teams than the Saints, but has one of the higher paces of any offense we've seen. And I think that could be a plus for Kamara. right after I make my pick, we'll pull the board up and then I'll get back to chat. Harvey or Connor? I'm going to go Connor, just veteran, just Mr. Consistent on a per game basis. Some of these other years, 23, 22, missed a lot of time. So his per game points are always up there. And yeah, he liked that start 1, 2, 3. Feel strong in all three rooms to start. Let's bring up the board and see where people are at. Yeah, Mula, it's been hammering receivers to go along with McBride. So excellent receiver room, elite tight end. We'll see where he goes here. DS hammering some receivers as well to go with this 3 running back start. So now catching up at receivers. Young Mula getting QJ. Nice rookie there. Let's get back to the chat. Yeah, do not knock anyone for trying. Yeah, no, exactly. Going Lamar Jane at a pick late and throwing the room into a panic is fun too. Always ready to pivot. Shit happens. Yep, roll with the punches. Make lemonade. Yeah, no, I was in, I think it was me, JT Best Balls. It was a late night stream, so it was kind of late. And I think I had the 11th pick, and I queued up Allen and Lamar in my queue. And I can't remember which one I took first. I took, let's say, is Allen, since he has the higher ADP. And then I thought I unstarred the other one. And when it came back up, I didn't realize it, and I accidentally took both. So I had 2 week 7 elite quarterback buys, did have to take a third quarterback, but I honestly still loved my team overall. And, you know, I can't remember who my third quarterback was, Daniel Jones, maybe Rodgers. Can't remember. This was a couple weeks ago, but, you know, it was definitely not a build I recommend, but still, I think the team was very strong overall. Just get some hall exposure. Feels gross, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm a little bit, in pre-board, I was not as high in Breece Hall. There was the trade rumors. I thought there was a chance that the Jets could take a running back, maybe in like the 2nd or 3rd round, and split the role a bit more. So none of that happened. So it definitely makes me feel much better about the situation. We're going to pull up Josh Downs. I've taken a lot of those other running backs lately. I like Downs here. I think he, you know, I honestly think he's underdrafted. I know he's not always out there in 2 wide receiver sets, but he's so good whenever he is out there. And last year's numbers with that were probably a little misleading, considered he was banged up to start the year. Then he got banged up late in the year. You look at his production in between, his production from per game basis, and even playing injured the last couple of weeks, off the charts, like really, really strong. And that's with some really bad quarterback play. I do think Daniel Jones is an upgrade. So I want exposure to both him and Pittman, because I think that both of them get some real nice upgrades with Daniel Jones. Yeah, 2 rookie anchors. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a strong rookie class, so sometimes that can work. Let's see here on the clock. Aaron Jones is still there. Mahomes, I don't have a Mahomes stack. Hawkinson, I'm going to go Hawkinson. I want to get more Hawkinson in total. Also opens me up for JJ stack. So that's my thought process on it. Yeah, MLB Best Ball is definitely a different animal. I had 2 years ago, I did get one team. I only had 3 Dinger teams. I got one team through through to the finals, then just kind of collapsed a bit. It's definitely injuries and just so many things can happen. I actually wish they did more like a 20-round MLB best ball. Just I think that would make more sense. Just with how long and grueling the season can be. That's what matters. Andy Dufresne. Yeah, there you go. There's a Shawshank Redemption reference. I love Disbanded's references. Gotcha. Yeah. No, MLB DFS can be another one because you have to kind of be up there right till lineup lock. And yeah, that can be a tough one for sure. This year, I've not really played much MLB DFS. Did a lot more the last couple of years and just wasn't as profitable. So really pulled back from it this year. Let me bring back the board up. Again, thank everyone for joining me. Really enjoying this. Got 4 drafts in for all my final Poodles, so I'm done. Got another Pitbull in. Pitbull should still be going strong next week. Like I said, I'll need to see when I'm going to do the next one of these shows. Definitely at least one early next week, maybe 2. We'll see. I'd like to most weeks get at least 3 done. It is a holiday week, so but I might rip some. Maybe a 4th of July stream. We'll see. So yeah, just having a lot of fun. Really enjoying this, and thank you all for liking, watching, and joining these drafts. All right, up in 1. All right, I mean, Brian Robinson, massive fall. I have like 0 Brian Robinson, but with the fall here, I will take it. It does correlate with Daniels. I don't love it, especially in a Pitbull, but I can't deny the fall. So definitely not my favorite pick. I have very low Brian Robinson right now. I do worry that Eckler's going to eat into that role. I think JCM, even as a 7th rounder, could eat into that role. And as we saw in the playoffs, Jeremy McNichols was still playing some over Brian Robinson. But I think he'll have some usable weeks and be okay. Eddie, I'm with you. Get the pitchers right, miss on the hitters, or vice versa. Get the stacks right, miss on the pitchers. Yeah. Baseball is a very tough sport. 50 likes. Thank you all. Really appreciate that. Thanks for the stream and entertainment. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm glad, I know you missed the draft, but I'll be doing, like I said, multiple a week. We'll get you in some of these for sure. Some more of these for sure. My guy Scattaboo goes 1 pick ahead of me. That would have been my easy pick to get another running back. Help make me feel better about the Robinson call. I'm going to take Naj here. I think as much as I like Amari and Hampton, I think Najee keeps at least 40% of the role, and I think he will have enough of a touchdown role. He's going to have usable weeks. I think he's a good floor play, little upside. This might be a 6 running back build since I didn't start till late and not definitely getting some of my favorites. We'll see how this pans out. Taking a guy like Hawkinson, more apt to stop at 2 tight ends versus 2 quarterbacks. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Do like my starter receiver room. First 3 really strong, then adding downs. Kind of an atypical build with the players I'm taking, but I think it will be okay. And of course, I want exposures to some of these guys, even if it's going to be more like 4%, 5% on some of these guys. Let's go back to the board. Hit it up, see what Young Mula and DS are doing. Come back around. think I'm pulling this one together decent. I will take a look at it after my next pick. Yeah, when we get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, we will do a 24-hour live stream. Hope we get that soon. We're really hoping to get it before the NFL season, ideally in August. So there's plenty of drafts to go around to do. You know, I hope we can get that soon. Let's see where we at here. I will take JJ McCarthy. Don't probably have enough of him. Do need more receiver help. I can see if anything comes back. Oh, thank you very much, Disbanded. I appreciate that. I enjoy your chats as well. Also, your references, movie references. You definitely get some of mine, and I definitely enjoy yours. So make it fun. Always appreciate seeing you in chat. So 100% right back at you. So right now we'll see what skill it does. I'm guessing he takes Warren. Doesn't have tight end. He took Loveland. I'm going to take Warren. There's a fall here. I'll probably be done at tight end then. I know I do pass on my favorite tight end range. You know, that like, you know, Fryermuth to Gesicki, all those guys. But I like the fall on Warren. You know, 14 picks past ADP. Be done at tight end. I already have 2 Colts. Definitely opens up for Daniel Jones as third quarterback if I'm going that route. I have other third quarterback options, obviously with Stafford and Darnold as well. So we'll just keep that open mind there. I won't get the earth stack that I usually get with Daniels, but I just don't think it's worth adding a third tight end just to get a stack. Yeah, no, 100% agree, Tim. Fryermuth to beast. That whole range. I mean, they're so touchdown dependent, but they're all going to have roughly 100 targets, 600 to 700 yards. If the touchdowns are there, they can finish top 10. Tight ends for 100%. Had to reach on quarterbacks to have a chance for this team. Yeah, let me look at your team real quick. I'll do it from here. The Gibbs, Bucky, Chase Brown. So starting running back heavy, but then pivoting right to receiver. Jameson Williams, Waddle, Olave, Shakir, Higgins, Coleman. So really caught up at receivers there. Jonnu, and then hitting quarterbacks here, Stroud and Tua. Yeah, I mean that's good. And you know, Waddle and Higgins being the stacks there, that's totally fine. So have a lot of exposure to Gibbs and JMO. Bucky, even some bring back here with the Miami and Bucky bring back. Khalil Shakir, Cam Coleman, so double Buffalo pieces. So gain a lot of equity on some good teams like Lions, Buffalo, Dolphins. I missed the Jonnu also correlated. QJ is a bring back. Yeah, no, I think you built it out pretty well. Not sure if you're a big 3 QB guy or not. I typically would, especially when you're starting that late and a guy like Tua who has the injury risk. But I think you're doing a really nice job putting it all together. Definitely, you took some of the receivers I was looking at. QJ, I was kind of hoping to come back, did not. But I will take Tillman here. So I definitely needed to catch up a bit more at receiver. Still probably going to go 6 running backs. There's a couple here that I would take if they come back, as well as some receivers. I'm going to let Besh fall a little bit more. I took him a lot earlier. I still think there's a path for him to be a solid fantasy option as a rookie. I'm not too worried about the Thornton, case that we saw rookie OTAs, or rookie minicamp and OTAs, but it's at least worth noting. Definitely avoiding tight end at this point. Quarterback, Stafford's there, but I wouldn't take him at this next pick. If he falls back beyond that, then maybe I might double up if Eckler's there to Eckler, Brian Robinson, just get a lot of the Washington running back room. It's not perfect, and Eckler at least correlates a little bit more with Jaden. But I do want as much, Washington should be a top offense again. So I don't think there's anything wrong. And then the other running backs definitely got taken out from under me, including Roshan and Wright, who are definitely like Roshan. We'll see Skillett. Let's Eckler come back to me. He does. I will take that. I know it's the third week 12 bye, but I'm taking 6 running backs. Last one can't be week 12, in my opinion. So let me catch up on chat. Sorry. There's a super flex here. So thank you. Thank you, Mike. Grade my first Poodle build. Absolutely. You're not in here. But if you want to post it, I will absolutely grade it. I didn't think you're in here. Let me get back to the rest of the chat real quick, and we'll go back to that if you post it. Had to reach on quarterbacks. Rare for me to get Kittle, Bowers, McBride. Yes, I love the Kincaid, Goddard, Fryman. Yeah, no, it's just a really strong range. Goddard is actually probably the true start of that range for me. Also Ferguson, another one. So all about week 17. Yeah, I will say in these contests with the the Pitbull, I think only has like 150 person final. So, that's less than a third, or, it's like 30%, 28% of what, say, the BBM final is. So you're not going to have to be necessarily as right in getting the perfect week 17 correlation, but I get what you're saying. And I'm doing the same thing, obviously, at times. It's just not as huge of a priority in my book, but I totally get why you're doing it, and not knocking it by any stretch. Not loving this receiver range. Don't want Alec Pierce with all the other guys that I have. Could take Noel. Don't hate that. Could go Chubb. I'm not a Wandell fan. I might just bring up Darnold. I have JSN. I do like getting a third quarterback to help with advance rate. I'm a little bigger believer in Darnold, so I will do that. Especially if it's throws the ball. Yeah, with Goddard. Yeah, no. Goddard is his big thing is staying healthy, and Eddie just nails it with that comment. Yeah, more of a two quarterback person, but yeah, with this one might need 3. My sleeper, if he keeps his spot, is Higbee. He's free and had some good games. Yeah, no, he was absolutely targeted when he came back, but they did spend a mid-second rounder on Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson seemed to be high on him. I will be interested to see how that plays off. Hulk Smash, good seeing you. Hey, how's it going? Roshan, aka Shrug, didn't realize how good of a coach Commander's coach was until his past year. Fantasy Football Garage, good seeing you. I'm getting a lot of Goddard. Yeah, me too. Mike, did you post your Poodle? Did I miss it? I want to grade it. Was it a previous? You weren't in any of the previous drafts. Please, if I'm missing something, please let me know. Don't want to, especially with you. Appreciate the super chat. Really appreciate that. And we'll happily grade it. Not sure if you We're going to add it, post it on my page, but also send it to you. Okay, let me make my pick here. And time's a factor. Time is a factor. We will do Justice Hill because I'm out of time. There were some receivers there, but they're the same guys as before. And I did want let me pull it up on Twitter. And all right, you sent me 2 drafts. I think the first one is the Poodle, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. Hit him with Gritty. So I will, after my next pick, I will take a look at it and grade it. Second one, BPM, Bowers one. So up in 6 picks. First one is Poodle. Appreciate it. Yeah, I will. And again, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. After I make this next pick, I will start to look at it and we'll absolutely grade it. And we'll, and DS making their 17th round picks. DS taking Anthony Richardson. You know, I mean, if I'm more the believer it's going to be Daniel Jones, but hey, if that's your belief, go for it. Up in a couple, need wide receivers. Keenan Allen, Austin actually should only be looking wide receiver at this point. I generally like only taking Keenan Allen in 8 wide receiver builds, but I feel strong enough with where my receivers are that I will take them here and hope for the upside case. Don't feel the need for Donnie, Rome, Ray, floor play, Tolbert, MVS for another Seattle player. Those will be who I'm looking at. So let me hit him with Gritty's team. He went 3-5-8-2. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Jared Goff. Really like that. Obviously need the different buy than Hurts, Fields, and Goff, but can be very strong. You know, for these smaller fields, you can just dominate the quarterback position. Then JT, anchor running back, ETN, Ramondre, who I know you're very high on. I think it's a fine pick at his ADP. You took him at ADP, so not like you did a reach or anything. Braylon Allen, Marshawn Lloyd, then Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, QJ, Xavier Legette, Demario Douglas, Adonai Mitchell, Jalen Polk, tight end Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson. All right, let me make this last pick. I'm going to go, I already have that. I'm going to go Calvin Austin. I think I took Rome in another one, but Calvin Austin, I think, can be a fine floor play, might have some upside as well. So I will go over the teams in this draft after I finish up with hitting him with Gritty's pick. Team overall, you know, I think you wanted to dominate quarterback, extremely strong at tight end, even without taking one of the top 3. So you're kind of dominating those two spots pretty well. Running back, you got an anchor. If ETN and Ramondre and Allen especially do what's kind of expected of them, I think you're fine. I would have maybe had a 6 running back, just since everyone after Taylor has a little risk involved. And it's not like Polk or Mitchell you already had Demario Douglas. So like if you had Drake May double stacking, I get taking some Jalen Polk shots, particularly in the time box tournament. We could get to camp and Jalen Polk, he was a second rounder last year. Stranger things have happened. And I know that I'm pretty sure that's why it's your take as well. Like they invested in him. They're going to give him another shot. So the same with Donnie Mitchell. I get that take. And, I think your top three receivers are obviously extremely strong in Jefferson, Wilson, George Pickens to take these like riskier upside plays. I mean, QJ is kind of in between, but like Leggett, Mitchell, Polk. But obviously there's a ton of draft capital invested in all three of those guys last year. If just one pays off, it could be really big for your team. In terms of, I'm not great at giving like a full number grade. I think this team is very live to contend because you just need a couple of those running backs who, outside of Taylor to be usable enough. And I really think ETN right now will be. I think Stevenson will have more than enough usable weeks, even if Henderson has the bigger role. I know you're very bullish on Stevenson. And Braylon Allen could be the, poor man's David Montgomery in this Jets offense. So that correlates with Fields. So there's some added bonus there. Tight ends, I'm not huge on taking TJ Hawkinson early. I understand you want to kind of dominate the position. And there's also, they have a week 17 correlation. So I see some reasons why, and, I'm not too critical on it in that sense. It's just taking Hawkinson 15 picks early never feels fun to me. But overall, I think this team's very competitive. Jefferson, Hawkinson, Sam Laporta from those good offenses. Again, you're going to win at quarterback. Your receivers are fine. Justin Fields really stacked up with Garrett Wilson and Braylon Allen. And you have the bringbacks on the New England side. So, I know that's why you went extra New England there. So, it's correlated, both team stacks. Nobody with Hurts, but you don't need to. And overall, just very well built out. I think it's, what I will say is I think it's more like a B minus team, but it's very competitive. And if you get it through, I think that your biggest thing is honestly getting it through to the playoffs. So you get it through the playoffs, then that probably means like Travis Etienne has a big role, or Ramondre has a big role, something like that. So then you're probably really live, and or one of these like young receivers really stepped up, whether it's Leggett, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Polk, whether QJ is just having a big role. So that probably means you were right on some of your takes. So in that case, then it becomes, I think, a very fun team in the postseason. Like getting it there is what's going to be a little tougher. But still, like a B minus team. It's not terrible. I don't think you're finishing 12th in the pot or anything like that. It's going to be very live. You'll probably be somewhere in the 2 to 5 range. It's just you need some of those backs and young receivers to break right, because you're going to dominate it at quarterback and tight end. Yeah, no, I know people making the case for A-Rich. I get it. I'm just not there. Ramondre going to crush it. Yeah, Tim's with you. Mike, Candyman in chat. He was a little bit. That's a different Candyman. That's not the same Candyman. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a different Candyman out there. Love Ramondre. Expanded True. Solid 0 RB Mulagat. I'm going to look at the teams in this draft real quick. Mike, thank you so much for the compliment. Thanks for going to a team. Again, always appreciate you, seeing you in Twitter, seeing you in chats, drafting with you, and thank you again so much for the super chat. Have a weird running back room, also comfy with it. Brees Hall, Connor, RJ Harvey, Pacheco, Dobbins, Braylon Allen. No, that's very strong. Door is wide open for a pass receiver to step up. I agree. I mean, I think Diggs is pretty safe. Kyle Williams is probably first. I know right now the early camp reports are he's not running with the ones, but I think Williams has the highest upside. But it could be Kayshon Boutte, it could be Jalen Polk, could be Demario Douglas. There's just different paths there for sure. Disbanded with the 100. Thank you so much. Yep, somebody's got to catch the ball. I will get to the draft shortly. I'm dangerous this one in the finals if I can get there. Yeah, appreciate Disbanded, love it too. Live the stream, love it too. Thank you so much. Let me look at these people that were in this draft, refresh, and answer any final chats and get out of here shortly. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Did 4 drafts, a lot of fun. Own mini marathon here. Let's see, that was my first Pitbull done fast because I have some slows going, and yeah, I'm saving Pitbull more for next week. So already went over my team. Not gonna belabor it any. Definitely not my favorite build, but I think I'm live enough. Young Mula 2772, Kyler Dak, love that. Obviously some injury risk with both the quarterbacks, but if they hit their peak, we're talking top 5, top 6 upside for both of them. QJ Caleb, like you said, went with the rookie anchors, but I like that you came back quickly to it with Tyron Tracy Dobbins, 2 guys who, even if they're not the primary, should have very good usable roles. Benson, just mentioned Braylon Allen talking about him with Gritty's team, and I'm a big fan. I think he could have a kind of a light David Montgomery role, and Taj Brooks definitely one of the biggest fans. I'm not the biggest Trey Benson fan, but good insurance for Connor, who is banged up seemingly every year. And I know you're correlating there. Lamb, Marv, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, really strong top 4 guys. And then I think you do the right thing. You waited almost 100 picks. And I think that when you're taking 4 guys like that, I think the biggest thing that people do, not that you can't advance with it, is then they keep hammering it. Maybe they'll take a detour for a running back right after that, but then they'll go right back to receiver. And it's just not worth it, because you're just looking for spike weeks and floor play from, probably more floor play like from a Tolbert, though he did have 7 touchdowns last year. Darren Brown could be a spike week guy. If Leggett gets it together, could be a spike week guy. And then double tight end, absolutely all you need with McBride and Gesicki, one of my favorite tight ends, definitely at cost. So I think that's a really strong team. Went with 7 running backs because you started late, but your first 4 are really sound, and then everyone else makes sense as well. There's correlation in there. There's bring back, all good all around. Definitely a live, fun team. And to me, that's what it really boils down to. You want a team to be competitive from the jump. You want to see the path for success. DS, he said he had to like reach up for quarterback. Took both Stroud and Tua 10 picks above ADP, but they're all, as we went through earlier, they're all extremely well stacked and totally makes sense with all the bringbacks and everything. Took Richardson as well. And he made his case for it. And I'm not going to, say that that's wrong, and ideally if Stroud and Tua stay healthy and Richardson's 0, it's not going to hurt you much at all. Gibbs, Bucky, Chase Brown, very strong start to the running back room. Then you take 2 backups. And again, similar to Young Mula's receivers, he hit that early and then waited. You did the same thing, 3 running backs in a row, and then you just wait. And JMO, Waddle, Olave, Shakir, Higgins, Coleman, QJ, and then finally Jalen McMillan really caught up at the receiver room. So much stack and correlation there. Even just team stacking like Shakir and Coleman. That's you don't need Allen, but you're getting a good, a decent chunk of his passing involvement, Jonnu and Kate Otten. So really stacking up that Miami Tampa game. So yeah, if that game goes off week 17, you're really looking, like you said, if this team makes the finals, you're very, very live if that Houston Chargers game or Miami Tampa game go off for sure. No, 2 good drafts. Thank you guys for joining me. And thanks everyone for joining me in chat, and liking the show, watching the show. Appreciate it all. Hulk, it seems like there are about 18 first rounders this year. Would you overdraft a combo like AJ Brown and Chain? I mean, if you're at the 12 spot, and you want to just totally get different, I wouldn't hate it. I think this is also a question if you're doing volume. I wouldn't necessarily do it in something like the Poodle. I think that it is more for like a bigger field tournament, like a puppy, even though that fills, or a BBM that's going to be open all year. One, especially because here's the thing, like if we get a situation where not wishing ill on anyone, but a back end running back or receiver, there's a little injury, not even like a major injury, but they're going to miss some time. Then, what happens if Nico's hamstring flares up in camp or something like that, and he's going to miss the first couple of weeks? Then he's going to get pushed down deep into the second round. So guys like a Chain and AJ Brown will move up. So it won't be as unique maybe in that setting, but I still think in a BBM, it's still going to be overall unique. And I would just prefer it in that over, say, a Poodle or a Pitbull, where the advance rates so much of it is you want to advance to the playoffs, because once you get into the playoffs, you're in 1 of 6, 1 of 5 pods. It's just going to be so much easier to get to the finals already that you don't need to be crazy unique or anything along those lines. But I don't hate the idea. Like I said, flipping the draft, I like more in the second round. Bringing up a T. Higgins or Rasheed Rice to pick 15, something like that, or taking McBride over Bowers at like 17. There's some risk there for sure, but it makes you very unique. Fantasy football and then Espanol, good seeing you. Thank you for the compliment. Good drafting with you. Take it easy. Appreciate DS. Good seeing you. And yeah, we are going to end it in a second. Thank you again for everyone, in chat, in everything. Next week, we'll have our regular scheduled shows. Monday, I believe Andrew and Justin are doing a BBM. Tuesday, we have Fred and Tyler doing DraftKings. Wednesday, I think Andrew and I need to double check. I think Andrew and I are still doing a stream that night, and during the day, Wednesday is going to be the best Ball Jeopardy of Pete Overzet and Neil Orfield. And then Thursday we will do Sibling Showdown. Like I said, I will be doing some shows. Need to figure out when I'm doing them. But yeah, we'll figure it all out. DS, no worries, man. I get it. Let me catch up on chat. Disbanded, got the dot finally, but I appreciate all the good comments. I'm naming all my teams by the score. DK is saying I'm supposed to score. I want to see how close it is. Tom, I know. Marathon session night. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. It was fun. Yeah, it's going to be about 3-hour stream. So no, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Got 4 drafts in. Max the Poodle. Did my first fast pit bull. Have a couple slows going. We'll do more fast pit bulls next week. No worries. Enjoy the weekend. Maybe I'll be back Sunday night. We'll see when I'm back. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you, Hulk. Take it easy, everyone. They trade Tyreek, Chain, and Waddle are going to eat. That is true. And yeah, that piece. Yeah, no, absolutely. Everyone have a great night. Thank you again. And just keep an eye at Steveospeak and Fanspeak and Meg's DFS08 on Twitter for when we're going live. Hit the subscribe button, of course. Hit the bell to be notified so you can come in anytime we're jumping in. Like I said, I'll probably do at least 3 streams next week, maybe even 4 or 5. So keep following us. We're going to keep growing from here. We'll get that 1,000 up to 1,000 when we do the 24-hour stream. Finally, last reminder, check out our Fantasy Best Ball subscription, 1-year payment for a full calendar year. So, 365 days, $34.99. You'll get it all through up until late June next year. So appreciate you all and have a great night. Last few, off to finish Poodles. Good luck and enjoying this Poodle draft. Yep. Good luck, Eddie. Good night, everyone. Have a good one.